Hello everyone, welcome to Octane Online Racing's here at the lovely FUJI Speedway for Le Mans Ultimate Season 6, Round 6. As I said, the aforementioned Le Mans Ultimate here at FUJI Speedway. I'm Cameron Thistlethwaite, joined by Cameron Thistlethwaite, and we got the lovely Ben Hignett on the cameras as well. Thank you very much to everyone who's trying to match me up with someone, trying to pair me, trying to get me on the socials, but unfortunately no one else to do commentary with me, but it is just going to be me alone tonight. Maybe we'll be joined by a late Loop D as he survives Victoria's public transport system. We'll see, but yeah, it's just going to be me on the microphone tonight. Fuji Speedway, we got hypercars, we got GTs for 60 minutes around here, while qualifying is just undertaking run away, so we shall see what comes to pass as well. Having a look at the field now. It's going to be early laps still for a lot of these drivers, especially the hypercars in the hypercars with their cold Michelins right now. It takes a long time to get them really up to temperature, about 2 or 3 laps before we'll start to see representative times from the red indicated cars on your left-hand side. Apologies if some of the icons are missing. That's a bug with LMU. If you use custom liveries, your car icon disappears. Great game. But we'll see what we can do. Do appreciate everyone running custom liveries. It makes it very much easier for me as a commentator to identify cars. But we're following Daniel Benefield right now in his formidable Ferrari 499P, and definitely one to watch. As I said many a time, he decimated last season that we did on Le Mans Ultimate, won every round in the Ferrari. And missed a few rounds this season, but and he wasn't around for COTA last week, but he is here for Fuji Speedway, and looking very formidable in the practice times as well in the Ferrari. Let's see his run now down into Dunlop chicane. It's awkward right, left, right again. Very slow speed, very awkward. Getting on the throttle there with the TC having to really do a lot of work to stop the car spinning up. Awkward right-handers off camber as well. The car really likes to get unsettled. You can see the rear starting to step out a little bit. Long sweeping left-hander. You have to kind of sometimes guess a little bit, trying to see from inside the car with the A-pillars in these Ferrari. In particular, the Ferrari actually has a very wide A-pillar. But rounding out onto the back straight, we'll start to see if we start to get in some representative times of just under 7 minutes to go. I appreciate everyone around, all the patrons as well on Octane Online Racing, and also all the THERMALTAKE and sponsors as well. We'll appreciate everyone hanging around, and of course, as per usual on Thursday nights, we'll have Split Red and ACC later tonight, straight after this round, I imagine. And I'll be at 9 o'clock, so just over 80 minutes away. We'll have Split Red for ACC back at the aforementioned ZANDVOORT as well. In the ZANDVOORT variable race conditions, it was very wet for us in Split Yellow. It'll be interesting to see what happens for Split Red come later tonight. You see Benefield just actually been displaced by Peter Papiano at the top there by half a second, but it's definitely some representative times really kind of still need to be done. We're following Ash Johnston now in the Shell-sponsored BMW V8 M Series. Going through the awkward chicane as well. Good direction change from some of these cars like the BMW, but overall tricky to get down on the power. One of the quicker cars on the straights, and quite a formidable straight around here at Fuji Speedway. And if you're new to this track as well, it kind of tends to, in the F1, it alternates with Suzuka. But obviously, Suzuka's been on the F1 calendar for a while. Those are long memories like me. I remember back in 2007, 2008, when we had Fuji Speedway on the F1 calendar for a couple of races. Kind of more popular in Super GT and the typical races like WEC that we're obviously part of right now at Le Mans Ultimate. Ash Johnston going to a 33.0 up there, puts him up to P3, just behind Patrick Johnston. As we're following Top Bromo in the Corvette, currently provisionally P1 by half a second in the GT class, half a second ahead of Ashan Lele, who is just ahead by 0.3 as well of Shady Samuel. One to watch for those three. All three have been really taking out the wins in the GT field. Tim Vaughan, last week's winner at Kota in the hypercar class in the Toyota GR010. And rounding through the long sweeping right-hander, you've heard of 130R, we've got 100R, literally the name of the corner here we have at Fuji Speedway. Kind of like it's a counterpart for 130R at Suzuka. And the run now from the hairpin and the slight kink on the straight. This little short run through 300R as well. There's a bit of a theme sensing here with these corner names. And again into the Dunlop chicane. And I think everyone actually quite enjoys this track apart from this this last sector in general. It's definitely very, very tricky, and especially in these hypercars, it's awfully tricky. It's like understeer, oversteering, and everything. It's so tricky to get right, especially as I said with the cockpits, like the closed cockpits of the hypercars. It's very hard to see some of those long sweeping apexes for the last two corners in particular. Through Panasonic corner and a run onto the main straight, very long straight. It's one of the longest in the world, I believe, on the racetracks. Running down the back straight, we'll see what Tim Vaughan can produce. And does improve, goes to a 29.9. It's half a second still of Daniel Benefield. He's really setting the pace out there, but up to provisionally P2 for Tim Vaughan. Followed by Max Ricker, his Toyota counterpart, and he crosses the line, goes up to P5 with a 31.662 out there. Not a bad time. But yeah, interesting to see, obviously, Ash Johnson and Patrick Johnson out there. Peter Papiano up into P3 as well. Just quickly, looking very good in the Peugeot, looking very quick in the practice server as well. Shady Samuel up into P2 for the GT class. Graham Hill right now straight up into P4 as well in the BMW in the GT class as well. We're on board now with Shady Samuel. Long sweeping right-hander, all slight corrections. It's kind of a double apex. Clip this one out wide but not too wide. Get it straight and get it stopped for this downhill sort of left-hander. It really likes to understeer and easy to miss that apex so easily in these cars. He's running now along the back straight. You see, this will be mainly where a lot of GTs will get passed by hypercars come the race, and anchoring on the brakes, hard right, get it down to first gear. Same again for the left, open it up quite a bit, use a lot of this curb as well, you can get away with it. And then the run into the long right-hander of a T13 and then into Net's corner. It's kind of two corners in one, turn 14 and 15, clipping the apex quite nicely. And again, a long sweeping right-hander Panasonic corner to make up the end of this lap for Shady Samuel. Looking pretty good, but a lot of time to find to get the top run. We're 1 second ahead provisionally right now. We'll see what he can do as he crosses the line. Temporarily displaced by Shen Lele. It looks like he didn't improve on that lap. Benjamin Curtis up into P4 right now in the GT field, just ahead of Noah Reinhardt. So we've got a couple of Lamborghinis for P4 and P5. Great to see those guys out there having a crack and getting right to the top. Still, Daniel Benefield provisionally in the hypercar class for P1, ahead of the two Toyotas as well. Lucas Keys up into P5, Peter Papiano in P4 still right now. And Lucas goes for a spin in the Alpine on the exit there. I believe that is on the exit of a turn 7 potentially. Sorry, not that corner, maybe. Peter Papiano on the run on the back. So that is going to be it for Lucas Keys, because I don't think he'll have time to get around again, as the session, I think, is just finished. Let's see what Peter can do in the current spec Peugeot right now. I'm not sure. Yeah, Mark Bushell is here, so he'll be in the wingless version. A little bit down the field, probably doesn't get the practice in, and goes for a spin as well, does Peter Papiano. So that lap is day and done, unfortunately for him. And Daniel Benefield, kind of scarily for everyone else, is still on a run right now, but we have seen a few spins right there, whether it's on the corner exit or just weight transfer as the rears are kind of getting quite hot. I did hear from quite a few of the drivers, like the Patrick was saying, the tires get so hot around here because of some of the loads. Whilst they are cold, you know, initially when you come out the pits, they really kind of struggle to keep the temps down, particularly on the left fronts. And Ferrari going strongly right now. And dare say he doesn't really need to finish his lap, because I think everyone else around him who's still on the lap is not going to get too close. Although Max Rick is still out there right now. Tim Vaughan has parked it in the shed. I think unfortunately he found the barrier. Papiano, Johnson, and Lucas Keys and Ash Johnson all not currently on a lap. See, Benefield, I don't think we're going to improve too much. Benjamin Curtis right now in the Lamborghini potentially could improve up to P3 or 4, but Noah Reinhardt and Graham Hill still on the lap time behind him as well, as the last couple of cars are now going to be doing through the last couple of corners on this run. And a little bit awkward there from the last corner, and yeah, I think that lap time wasn't up. As you see, Steve Lewis in the Porsche 963 runs down to the straight. Currently P9 right now. Whether he can displace Craig Donnelly in P8, we shall see. Crosses the line. I'm not too sure which one's actually the timing line, but it looks like he didn't improve on that lap. Stays P9 for now, but yet it is going to be Daniel Benefield ahead of the two Toyotas of Tim Vaughan and Max Ricker to the top 3 in hypercar as well in GT class. Provisionally, pole position goes to Tok Romo ahead of Ashan Lele and Shady Samuel. I forget we have the old Le Mans Ultimate Grid. As I said, the Toyota there of Max Ricker in P3, Papiano, great to see him up in there in P4, been doing a lot of practice as well. And Lucas Keys down there in P5, struggling a little bit, a few spins here and there. Patrick Johnston in the Cadillac, weirdly. I'm not sure if Patrick has gone for a last-minute change. I thought he was maybe going to stick it with the Alpine, having switched back to it from the Caddy, but looks like he's gone back straight to the Cadillac. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Mark Bushell there in the wingless. I'm seeing a Harry Lawrence, but I'm not too sure if any of those cars are actually doing the race. I think there might be just false people who've signed up who aren't actually here. From potentially Ricky Packham and Harry Lawrence for the hypercars. So obviously they did not qualify at the very least. And Saxon Hayes out there did offer to do RD and commentary, but he's out there racing, so I'm not sure he's doing either. Not to say he's a man of many talents, but I think that's been a bit above his station. It'll be interesting to see what Tim Vaughan will do. I think it's definitely a track that's favoured the Le Mans hypercar class cars. And you've seen them 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first LMDH, Le Mans Daytona Hybrid, is Lucas Keys in the Alpine. From what I do remember, this track, it kind of does favour the Le Mans hypercar classes, which means the main difference that's really going to matter is that they got electrical motors on the front axle. For the most part, not all of them. Pretty much all of them do, with the exception of one, which isn't here tonight with the Aston Martin Valkyrie. Getting formation underway, short formation as they line up on the grid. A bit of a gap between the GTs and the Hypers to prevent any issues. There's a long wait, and I'm not sure when they'll go green. Le Mans Ultimate likes to let them go quite early, but it's a long wait, definitely on the run. 60 minutes here at Le Mans Ultimate at Fuji Speedway. It's going to be Daniel Benefield ahead of the two Toyotas. Still waiting, still going at 60 kilometers per hour for now, but surely will start to accelerate very quickly, very shortly.
Green flag.
It's a long waiting game, and they're off as well, and it's a good start. There's already a couple of cars gone for a spin out there, and there's potentially kind of some GT cars. Oh, calamity! What has happened back there? I think I saw the Lamborghini of Callum Lloyd, potentially with another hypercar. But in the meantime, at the front, Daniel Benefield defends from Tim Vaughan, who's potentially under threat now from Max Ricker in the other Toyota, who's actually more under threat from Peter Papiano. I think we got a safety car. Yes, we do, as everyone comes to a slow. That was a horrendous crash on the main straight. We saw Steve Lewis, and I believe, Callum Lloyd in the background as well. Dylan King in the Mercedes GT. Caught up in a little bit of that as well, but did see there was definitely a few more GT cars caught Chris Brooker and Kafir Slade in the box. I'm not too sure if that's because they haven't started, but oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We'll have to see if we can find out what happened there. But I'm sure Mr. Ben Hignett will be on it like a bonnet right now, but oh my goodness, poor GT cars probably had nothing they could do. We're following now, I believe, with watching the Mercedes that we did see go slow, so we try to look up ahead, and it's already happened. Unfortunately, yeah, Steve Lewis and the Lamborghini hypercar Callum Lloyd already had some kind of issue and caught up. Yeah, multiple cars there. I'm not too sure which hypercars, but a couple of McLarens for sure. Potentially maybe Neil Wood and Steve Ferrugia were definitely caught up. Ryan Smith as well. Shady Samuel down to P3, so not down to P10, I should say. So, apologies. Oh my goodness, he was right up there in the front, at the front of the GT field. I'm not sure if that was related or not. Another replay now as well. We'll try and look at the back. We'll see the Porsche and the Lamborghini right now. The red and white Porsche, we're tracking it right now with the Lamborghini just behind him in the silver and black colors. And it's about to go green, and Callum Lloyd just flies into the back. I'm not sure Steve Lewis had come off and started going, and unfortunately absolutely just got clattered and all caught up by the GT field with no real time to react there. Oh my goodness, as the hypercar is looking to keep any kind of tire temp right now. And potentially, I'm not sure if there's a hypercar, just if the safety car is going to end this lap. Potentially not, unless Daniel Benefit is waiting till the last possible opportunity. But yeah, it looks like Steve Lewis potentially maybe not started going and was and just ran into by the back of the Callum Lloyd there in the Lamborghini. And yeah, unfortunately, the GT field paid the price in all of that. Nothing I don't think any of the GT cars could do. Looks like we are going to be doing another lap of hypercar. We're going to let some of them catch up if they were damaged. I think they're going to let everyone get a pit stop, get everything repaired, and then go green potentially as well. Let's see the hypercars really. There we are. Shady Samuel, Steve Ferrugia, Neil Wood all coming into the box, potentially probably repairing a lot of damage. We can see Graham Hill in the background as well. Dylan King, Chris Neville as well. Lots of damage, I imagine, for the GT field. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I can only think what Murray Walker would have had a reaction to like that, and it's definitely be a better reaction than what I had. But yeah, that was quite shocking. That was really unfortunate. I'm not. Yeah, I think unfortunately just one of those things that just when it went wrong in quite a large way. And unfortunately, yeah, GT field really couldn't do anything out of that. Potentially we might see safety car in this lap. We shall see. Was on board with Dylan King now, and yeah, just two cars just stopped there. No time to react. He was right up there. Oh, as the McLaren there goes for a small flight, thankfully comes back down on all four wheels. But oh my goodness, if you're on the right side of the GT field, you got a scare and a half. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. See, Boo has also come into the box as well. So, to count things off, it is going to be Todd Brummer ahead of Ashan Lele, ahead of Benjamin Curtis and Saxon Hayes. Hanny Corey, Matt Madden, Noah Reinhardt, and Dave Stevenson and Ryan Smith are going to make up, I think, the GT field that were unaffected. Probably most of the cars that were on the left side of the grid in all of that. We'll see if they go green this time around. I'm not seeing any weaving, so I think that potentially we might get some who might actually be going green this time around. A little more than the hypercars. We'll see if Bannerfield goes straight from the off. Yes, he has. He's already gone. He's not going to play the silly games. And already getting a good punch from Tim Vaughan, who's already got a gap as well to Max Ricker, as Peter Papiano also falling back a little bit, trying to get some tire temps. So yeah, these hypercars really probably wouldn't love losing the temperature. And I think Lucas Keys is under threat now from the BMW, very quick as the BMW, and that's got the slipstream from the Peugeot up ahead, going around the outside. But Lucas Keys brakes very late, potentially too late, and the BMW's up the inside and hits the Alpine and goes for a spin. Oh dear, I think the Peugeot was going wide ahead of Lucas, so he was at the middle of the track, and unfortunately the BMW just touched him, and oh, the GT field gets another scare right now and is going to be really struggling. Hopefully gets out the way. Yep, no one else caught up too much. It's going to file in between P2 and P1 on the GT field, but Ash Johnson looking to get going again. We're looking, I think my headset's just died, but I'll do my best. My microphone, thankfully, is standalone. Not like we have any sound on the mic, but yep, we're going well so far. And if it goes wrong, it's definitely the night. There we go. I've turned it back on. Like nothing's happened. But Max Ricker still chasing down Tim Vaughan right now, with Lucas Keys in the Alpine just behind him as well, looking a little bit feisty as he always is on race starts and restarts. Right up the back of the Toyota right now. Max Ricker going and see what kind of run and punch. A little bit of better exit, I think, for the Toyota. And those LMH cars generally get better exits with their sort of part-time all-wheel drive with the electrical motor on the front. But we'll see. Lucas Keys is in the slipstream. Slipstream is very muted in this game, but it's a very long straight, and he's arriving on scene right now in the V6 twin-turbo Alpine. He draws alongside Max Ricker. Going to have the inside line, brakes and draws alongside, and definitely, I think, going to have it well and truly done. Nothing that Max Ricker could respond with there. Great move by Lucas Keys. In the background, we can see Patrick Johnson look like he has got ahead of Peter Papiano as well. So everything looking pretty good. Potentially seeing a few lapped GT cars up ahead for some of these hypercar leaders, people that had to get a lot of repairs done right now. But going right now, there we are. Steve Fruger, yeah, just trying to kind of recover his race, and these hypercars will have to get by nicely and cleanly. He does a good job of there as well. Tim Vaughan getting nicely stopped, and Tim Vaughan needs to keep on thinking. Oh, Chris Neville, they're trying to, not too sure where he was approaching from, but definitely throw a little bit of a spanner in the works for the P2, 3, and 4. But yeah, Lucas Keys now eyeing up Tim Vaughan, I reckon, a little bit. We'll see if he can kind of keep up this pace throughout the race. The Toyotas seem to be a bit slow to start. We've seen that a few times, whether the drivers or the thing, but like Lucas, can you see here, he's really got the direction change on these Toyotas and showing a lot of pace early on right now. But the Toyotas definitely got a bit of punch right now. See if the Toyotas really kind of not really drawing in the Alpine right now, unlike the last time around. He's gonna stay behind for this braking zone. He didn't really have the overspeed like he did last lap around on the other Toyota, so didn't want to send it from too far back. Sensible driving there from Lucas Keys. Stays behind for now, but definitely giving Tim Vaughan a lot to think about, as Daniel Benefield still kind of disappearing a little bit at the front. Fastest lap for him right now. Unsurprisingly, he's got the nice clear air for the most part as well. But yeah, you can see like Lucas really got a statement of intent right now. I'm trying to see if he's actually running a hard tire on the front left, because typically they like running a hard tire on the front left, but I'm not seeing a red marking, so I think they are going mediums all round. Yeah, no red markings on Lucas Keys right now. Patrick Johnson and Peter Papiano going tit for tat as they run now down into the Dunlop chicane. Peter on the inside right now, gets it stopped and just gets it stopped. It's going to block the Peugeot a little bit, does Patrick, ahead of Peter. Lots of P's to go around, to say the least. But yeah, looking maybe a little under threat, to say the least, is Patrick from Peter Papiano in this Peugeot, and going very wide, very understeer, very easy to do at turn 15 right now. And gonna go wider as well on the run now, down onto the straight, and definitely giving the Peugeot an opportunity here to slipstream down the straight. Speaking of which, Tim Vaughan now potentially going to be swallowed up by Lucas Keys in the Alpine. He draws alongside like he did with Max Ricker, and potentially going to be even ahead into the first corner. Yes, he does. Does he get it stopped? Oh, it looks a little deep. He goes wide. He goes over the line. Tim Vaughan comes back at him with the switcheroo and does get back ahead up into P2. Does reclaim his P2, does Tim Vaughan right now ahead of Lucas Keys. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, Lucas really struggling to get the car stopped there from all that overspeed as well he had. And now they're negotiating Dylan King right now in the BMW, in the AMG right now, in the Bathurst colours. But yeah, coming at that, and we're trying to see what's going on. Yeah, Betterfield's still a little bit just ahead of these guys. A couple of more blue flag GT cars to negotiate, and then they got a bit of a gap to the rest of the field. Neil Wood right now on his line, doing everything he can. Lucas is trying to siphon through. He'll have to go around the outside for this next part, and Neil Wood's been quite kind there and trying to back off as much as he can. Thankfully, we're not a car right behind him. Did his best there, and was very nice to those hypercars. Just over 10 minutes to go. Oh dear, what's happened? There we go, we're back. No false alarm, to say the least. But Lucas Keys, will he have another crack? And Shady Samuel just up ahead on his recovery drive. Gets swamped by the two hypercars. But yeah, Lucas really got the run right now. He goes to the outside. He'll have the outside for turn 1. But he will have the rubber braking zone as well, and does get ahead. I think you know, the Toyota kind of concedes defeat right now. He knows Alpine's got the overspeed, and if he just gets the only really got the position back because Lucas made the mistake. But Lucas has definitely made the move done this time around up into P2. Let's see. It'll be interesting to see what his pace is going to be like. Now he's got a bit of clear air, and see how he can respond to Daniel Benefield's laps. 4.5 the gap right now. I'll have to tick that in the memory bank. 4.5, just up to 4.7 actually is the gap now. 5 seconds, I should say, between Benefield and Keys. We'll see if that gap comes down. But Ricker, I wonder what Max Ricker is going to do right now, potentially. Now, it's seen that Tim Vaughan has been a little bit vulnerable, maybe found a bit of pace back himself. These two have been actually very similarly paced throughout most of the season as well. They've always been not that far away from each other, on the most part. And we'll see how they go with their run onto the straight. Whether Tim's probably going to get a little bit of a slipstream from the Alpine as well. So interesting to see if this goes back the other way, but we'll cut to the GT leaders. Top Bremo right now still well in front by 4.5 seconds from Ashan Lele in the Lexus. Really liking that Corvette is Top Bremo right now. Benjamin Curtis P3 right now on track for LMU podium. Saxon Hayes just behind him in the Aston Martin. Similar colours actually, but completely different teams. Hanny Corey as well in P5 in the Porsche. So 6 different manufacturers in the top 6 for the GT cars. So that's not too bad. Matt Madden in the McLaren there as well, in the great pitchy colours as well. With actually a teammate, Dave Stevenson. I keep calling him Dan Stevenson, but it's Dave Stevenson in the Pidgey colours, just behind him in the Aston Martin, and Noah Reinhardt as well, just behind him. Noah Reinhardt losing out a little bit from the start in is that White Monster? Oh my goodness, it is. White Monster, the drink, the almost meme drink, I think, of energy drinks, to say the least. But yep, do what you like out there. Ooh, a little bit of a wobble as it comes on the straight. Speaking of wobble, Tim Boylan's having a little bit of a moment, and yeah, Max Rico definitely closer to him than Tim is to Lucas Keys. Just approaching 1/4 way through. And regarding pit stops, it's going to be tricky to say. I think we did see a lot of the hypercars did manage to get through on one full tank. No pit stops were necessary for the leaders and for actually a lot of the field at Kota for the hypercars. So potentially all the same. We'll have to maybe keep an eye to see if anyone's got any info. Or a bit of a rear lock there from Tim Vaughan. Just unsettled him and sent him wide. And Max Rico knows it. It's all over the back, but he can't really get a run along there. But he's going to have a look. He's not going to draw alongside. He just kind of keeps his way up there, seeing, just trying to force an error just to keep Tim under pressure. But yeah, definitely Tim feeling the pressure a little bit right now. We'll have to keep an eye out, see if we can have a look at the energy usage further into the race when we can, just to see who we saw. The GT cars definitely had to box last week as well at Kota. They couldn't really do the full hour. They needed a small splash and dash, and it's tricky to say. I think it is kind of track dependent whether the cars can do the full hour or not. But we shall see. Potentially who can survive the full hour, because unfortunately some of them didn't survive the first 100 meters. Unfortunately, haven't broken the record of 12 meters, sadly, but we got pretty close, I think. But going along so far, unfortunately, yeah, just unfortunate. So Steve Lewis and Callum Lloyd just having that kind of a collision, and then the poor GT field kind of do no wrong, really. So Daniel Bedingfield already starting to lap some of these cars, already lapping up to Saxon Hayes in the GT field. So yeah, not too surprising. I think there's definitely a bigger swing of laps, kind of a difference in speed between these two classic cars at this particular circuit. Tim Bourne as well. All these cars having to negotiate a bit of a gap developed between P3 and P4. Goes sweeps around the outside. There's a good this corner. You can just sweep around the outside of the GT cars. You kind of have to do a bit of wall of death and rely on them not to have a little bit of a wobble and hit the side of you. Make sure you give them all the space as well. And Hanny Coriant now. You see the Toyota gonna get past into the chicane. Yes, he does. He sees him coming. Maybe a little bit hesitant there from Max Ricker. Shows you the difference as well in the braking margin. But oh, Lucas Keys really has been held up quite a bit here and lost a lot of time because he's got Tim Vaughan all over the back of him as they get around Benjamin Curtis. And it's going to be awkward. It's going to send Tim Vaughan very wide. Almost has to jockey the car to get it to turn back into the corner, and loses a little bit from Lucas Keys there. Yeah, so you can see the traffic, how decisive it can be when you catch it at the wrong moments. Lucas losing a lot of time there and already growing that gap to Daniel Benefield. It's up to 8 seconds now. That's quite substantial. Welcome everyone to the chat. We appreciate everyone who's hanging around. And yeah, Callum Lloyd did come in and admit his error on the lap 1. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, that one, and it kind of looked like maybe the car ahead didn't get going when you would think. So I don't think it's wholly on Callum's that one, but I'm sure it went to the stewards, and we shall see. I think unfortunately it might be down to a racing incident, just one of those unfortunate things. Yeah, appreciate everyone coming in the chat saying hi. Hit the like button. We do everything to try and support the series. That will help the series grow. Potentially, you know, Le Mans Ultimate. Who knows what we'll do next season. Potentially a late split is on the cards. We shall see. We'll wait for details confirmed. I mentioned last night we have Duo Series starting up at the end of this month. So get signed up for that if you like ACC and the Duo Series. Always a very popular series, have to say, on ACC. So exciting to see. And 4-hour iRacing Enduro that Glenn mentioned last night as well, at Adelaide on the cards, I think, for April. So exciting to see. Obviously, Enduro is not really something we can do in Le Mans Ultimate right now. Well, you can, unless you want to do the whole race by yourself, because unfortunately driver swaps are still being worked out, and we should see content news soon for Le Mans Ultimate as well. They are due to release the final ELMS DLC this month. Is marked out on Steam for January to March, and Steam have actually got stricter deadlines, you know, kind of clamped down on season passes and stuff like that. So if you don't meet those targets, you are definitely a bit more onus on the developers to actually meet those targets. So we shall see what comes from LMU. At least we'll get Barcelona and another LMP3 car. And yeah, let us know anything, like if you want, if you think we should do certain series and stuff like that. You know, it's obviously going to be see what's the most popular, but you know, it'd be kind of fun if we can do like a mini LMP3 series. Depends on how many people have the car. Unfortunately, it's not proving the most popular series for the most part, LMU wide. I think everyone likes to drive GTs or LMP2s when it comes to those choices, or obviously hypercars as well. I can understand why LMP3s are not that popular, because they kind of feel just as slow as GTs. They're just a little bit quicker. Sometimes it feels like they're not that much quicker, but they're definitely, I find them harder to drive than GTs, that's for sure. You know, lacking ABS like all prototypes. And ooh, someone just went off behind this gaggle of GT cars right now. It is not Saxon Hayes that we're on board with. We're on the back of Dave Stevenson, who's got Noah Reinhardt all over the back of him. And there's a hypercar in the back there that I did see go for a bit of a spin at, I think, at the the chicane. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, PG civil war breaking out right now. Maybe Dave Stevenson might get a little bit of a talking to from his team manager, potentially, but I don't think it's going to be the case. But Noah Reinhardt getting a run now there as I believe Craig Buss there going past the Alpine as well. So Lamborghini's losing out on the straights though, so did draw alongside the Aston Martin, has to tuck back in for the slipstream. Gonna draw out alongside and late brake into the apex of turn 1, gets it stopped nicely and hits the apex. Very decisive on the brakes there, great stuff from Noah Reinhardt. See how it goes. Still, I mean, pretty good result for those guys. They're all fighting for P6, 7, and 8 in the GT field, but there's definitely a few GT cars on the recovery drive. Let's see here, Saxon Hayes just ahead of Hanny Corey and Ben Curtis just ahead of him. So P3 is definitely on the cards. Let's see, we'll go back to the fight between Tim Bourne and Max Ricker for P3 in the hypercars. So it's definitely all to play for. But it looks like the leaders in both fields have really got away substantially, with the exception of Lele, who's kept within 5 seconds of top runner. Doing a very good job to keep up with top runner. If anyone's familiar with top runner, it is Amarul Naim, a very quick driver. If you've seen him in ACC, one of the quickest drivers out there for sure in the league. A very quick driver, I have to say. It'll be quite interesting to see if he ever decides to get behind the wheel of the hypercars. Benjamin Curtis doing enough to keep himself out of the clutches of Saxon Hayes. I think the Lamborghini would be in trouble a little bit if it starts giving a slipstream to the Aston Martin. The Lamborghini not looking too hot on the straights that we saw from Noah Reinhardt just a few minutes ago. It's great to see this newer, updated Aston Martin. I do prefer it a lot more to the visually, a lot more than the old generation. It seems to be a bit of a mixed beast. Some people like Saxon really like it. I haven't given it a try in LMU. It's definitely a little bit wily. I haven't seen too many in public lobbies as well. It is one of the paid cars, so that could be a factor. The single, I think there is some... The BOP on the GT field still needs a bit of work. I think there has been some recent efforts in that. A little bit of a tempering to some cars like the BMW and McLaren that were definitely some of the all-round best cars in the GT field on Le Mans Ultimate. And I don't think we're trying to remember. I think we're only in for a few updates. No necessarily any new cars for the GT field come 2026. I think we'll just have Evo updates. So like, I'm trying to even remember now. I don't think we actually have that many Evo updates for some of these cars. Potentially the Porsche. I think Porsche's got a new Evo package for this year. So we'll see how much that affects it. But Lamborghini's obviously kind of not competed in WEC that much anymore. I think this will be the final year of the Lexus as well, as it potentially we will get that Toyota Gazoo Racing GT3 finally come 2027. We've got a replay here now. Matt Madden defending from Noah Reinhardt in the Pidgey. McLaren goes very wide at turn 1. They're potentially going to give the over and under, and just comes to an absolute crawl. Barely gets going. I'm not too sure what happened there. We had issues with shifting or potentially a throttle issue, but definitely something went wrong there for Matt Madden in the McLaren. And obviously got passed by Dave Stevenson, his teammate in the Aston Martin, but it looks like it gets going again as Dave Stevenson goes through an unfortunate spin through the 100R corner. It does get going again. Gonna have some unfortunate flat spots. Gets going again. Kind of rejoins a little bit hesitantly onto the racing line and kind of stops moving and hopefully gets going again. It's not a nice place to be, right on the racing line. wonder if that was a bit of the car stalled or clutched too, because it looked a bit weird. But definitely all to gain for Noah Reinhardt, to say the least. As this getting a bit tasty up ahead, goes very wide, does Ben Curtis in the Lamborghini up ahead. Saxon a little bit squirrely on the exit, and Hadi Corey just here waiting in the wings to pick up the pieces. But they see the Aston Martin definitely, I think, with the best exit despite that slide out of the free. And closing in on the Lamborghini, but will he get there come the end of the straight? He might just fall short a little bit. Yeah, he does, and doesn't get alongside, but whoa, late there, and a little bit of a missed corner there for Diebold in the Lamborghini, and just going to give Saxon a little bit more fuel in his fire to get the move done. See the other Lamborghini of Noah Reinhardt might come and join this battle potentially for P3 now that he's displaced the Pidgey brothers, or Pidgey teammates. But yeah, interesting to see how this one will go. It's definitely see Saxon kind of struggling a little bit more in the Aston Martin through some of these long sweepers. The Porsche and Lambo do look a little bit more competent through those corners. We'll see how he goes through the Dunlop chicane and the twisty last couple of series of corners. Try and ideally get back up to that gap that he had coming onto the straight, because that was really put him in good stead for a move done. If he was a little bit closer, he might have actually got it done. I think we've got Daniel Benefield closing up on these guys, so unfortunately that's going to potentially throw a spanner in the works, but he might get lucky and get all of them on the straight if it lines up perfectly. We've got a replay here now following Tim Bourne as he gets past Dave Stevenson as a lap car going into turn 1. Lucas Keys up ahead, he brakes late and he locks the rears and it snatches and tank slappers around. Oh dear for Tim Bourne, last week's race winner, goes for a spin at turn 1. So easy to do in these hypercars. You just anchor him a little bit too much. The rear says nope, just locks it up with the regen battery as well as trying to regen all that energy. But yeah, unfortunately goes for a spin there. Definitely lost the position. Yeah, so you can see lost the position to Max Rica and Peter Papiano. So Papiano up into P4 right now. So yeah, Tim Vaughan now down to P5 and definitely going to have some quite substantial flat spots in the Toyota. So we'll see how that affects his pace. Harry Lawrence here. I haven't seen Harry Lawrence in the red and white and black Alpine. Maybe a bit of a latecomer to this race. I'm too sure. I'm not sure if he actually did the start or not. I don't think I saw him on the start grid. Maybe he's can't get here for the start of the time. Seeing here now, I think this is Lucas Keys. Oh, just gets tapped by, I think that's Graham Hill's BMW. And, oh, goes for an absolute almighty crash into the barriers. Loses the rear wing. Gives Max Ricker a scare as well. That was Lucas Keys. Max Ricker was just behind him. And unfortunately, yeah, that BMW absolutely just demolished in all of that. Oh dear, oh dear. Maybe another one for the stewards. That one's a tricky one to call, I have to say. Going around the outside, and naturally understeers does the BMW. And Lucas is trying to get back somewhat to the racing line as well. Yeah, I'm not calling that. I'm not calling that whatsoever. That is a hypercar GT car moment. We shall see. It didn't affect Lucas too much in terms of damage or anything like that. But I don't think it really affected the gap as well to him to Max Rico. But we'll see if anything comes of it. Hopefully one of the stewards, if they are around, do kind of let us know if that's a play on, or obviously if there's something a little bit more towards. We do appreciate anyone coming around. You know, Max Rico, I think, trying to negotiate these guys. They're trying to get out the way. I think they just should have stuck to their line and let the hypercars do the heavy work. It's a little bit tricky at times. Everyone's got a bit different philosophies at times. But they all get through safely. Peter Papiano there in the Peugeot is getting through. So we see what happens. With Noah Reinhardt still trying to close up to these guys. 5 seconds to the good. So yeah, doing his best to try and close in. It's kind of it's a close fight between these 3, 4. As I said, the last spot on the podium. There's Tim Vaughan all over the back of the net. He's just going to have to wait. He's going to have to wait. He's going to have to go around the outside on this one. It's the only place he can go. And he'll potentially have to go to the right side there, Ben Curtis as well. It's so awkward through these corners. It's such one line many of the times. Thankfully, the hypercars do have the downforce where they can kind of sweep around. But they struggle once it starts to slow down in terms of actual grip. And we'll see as... Oh, what's happened there, Tim Vaughan? And I'm not too sure. It was a McLaren there. I want to say Chris Neville's car having a moment on the exit of the last corner. I'm not too sure if those two had a moment or if it was a sole error. But definitely giving Tim Vaughan a few more, added a few more tallies to his kind of tricky laps in recent succession. Got a replay here. Thank you very much, Ben. And following the BMW, and goes for a spin. It's wanting to go. It gets it stopped before it goes around fully. I think I want to say that's Craig Donnelly was trying to chase down Patrick Johnston in the blue-nosed Cadillac that we can see just behind. And Patrick's still kind of circulating in his little bit own gap right now. In the Cadillac with the red marked front left as well, trying to preserve that tyre for these long corners. Went up the inside there, Ben Curtis, and Ben Curtis had to wait until he went through, and it's really given Saxon Hayes a lot of a chance now. He's going to go run, he's going to draw alongside, he'll be around on the outside. Can he get it done from the outside? A little bit deep there from Ben Curtis, but he'll have the inside for the next corner, and there's nothing that Saxon can do about it right now, and it is going to be still status quo for now, as the Patrick Johnson does try to get through. Hadi Corey has to make way, and they're going to have to go around the outside of Saxon Hayes as well. And there's contact between, I think that's Xavier Eaton. Sorry, that's not Patrick Johnson. There's Xavier Eaton in the other blue Cadillac, getting a little bit of door argy-bargy from Saxon Hayes as well. And Chris Donnelly coming through as those two are trying to fight for position while these riders are trying to fight for position. Oh, it's quite messy, but potentially I think Xavier Eaton now under threat from Craig Donnelly as well. We've got a replay. We'll go back to... This is Tim Vaughan, I believe, that we see. So the McLaren jumps ahead. I think this is Chris Neville's car. And he just starts to go for a spin. And unfortunately, Tim just kind of assists him with it. But I think that car was already going round. I don't think that was on Tim at all. And unfortunately, just, kind of adding to Tim's woes there, as well as also Chris's. Just unfortunate. The McLaren just started to go for a slide, started to rotate. And unfortunately, Tim was too close to really couldn't get out of it in time. Mark Bushell here in the wingless Peugeot negotiating all these guys as he tries to close down on some of the cars up ahead on Craig Donnelly and Xavier Eaton, the ones that we're seeing here. Still on for a potential for a good result if he does get up to where Xavier Eaton is in P7. A few lofty places out there. Another GT car to negotiate. Steve Ruger taking his normal line as he should, and actually getting way out of the way as well for the next corner. So that was very polite of him. Didn't need to do that, even if he was blue flagged. The hybrid cars just have to kind of negotiate their own way around. But Hadi Corey still giving Saxon a lot of stuff to think about. Oh, gets a swapper mid-corner though. And another hypercar, just when you think you've gotten all the hypercars that come past, here's another one for you as well. Ash Johnson here to join the party, and frankly does get the other two on the straight, so no issues for those. No, nothing affecting this battle. Lamborghini trying to get a little bit of a slipstream from the car ahead as the hypercar as it went past as the Aston Martin. You can see its slipstream effect is so very, very tempered in this game, unlike ACC, and it's really doesn't start to close in unless you get a really good run, and quite close. But, Saxon definitely looking overall the one with the most pace out of this battle, and no Reinhardt, I did say before, slowly catching these guys. No Reinhardt is only a couple seconds behind Hadi Corey. It'll be a potentially four-way fight for P3, and still way off the leaders. 10 seconds, 12 seconds to Shan Lele from from Benjamin Curtis, and then 10 seconds to top Bromo as well. So quite the gaps out front. But it can all come undone with a small incident like we saw a few times this race. And it's kind of a staple, a little bit of Fuji Speedway. It's a very tricky place. There's a lot of kind of areas where unfortunately GTs and hypercars can find themselves together. But nothing happening for Daniel Benefield. Fastest lap still as well to him, 15 seconds ahead of Lucas Keys, and just absolutely dominant out there in the Ferrari 499. Lucas Keys still ahead of Max Riga, but only by a few seconds, almost 7 seconds, and very similar fastest laps as well. But yeah, Benjamin Curtis and Saxon Hayes still under a battle. I'd be curious, as I said, alluded to before, like whether these guys will have enough in reserve to go around again. Oh, a small touch there on the front, I believe, of Saxon Hayes. And just has a small little touch on the back of the Lamborghini. I've lost my headset again. I haven't charged it actually, so yeah, it's not too surprising. But that's all I need. I just need to keep pressing the space button and hitting the microphone, so I'm hoping we're all good. But yeah, Ben Curtis still just ahead of Saxon right now. Very similar fastest lap times you can see there. I think that's actually, yeah, 1,000th between their fastest laps. You can see on the timing tower. Clatter over the curbs at the hairpin. Going well right now for these two. Saxon really looking a little bit hungry out there. It's really kind of starting to pile on the pressure a little bit more on Ben Curtis, who wants that podium. And if there's a position to race for, you race for it no matter what. A little bit squirrely there from Ben Curtis. Will be that enough to give Saxon Hayes a run? It's about a car and a half length, 2 car lengths between them. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough from the slipstream. The Lamborghini, as said, kind of maybe a bit slow to get to its top speed, but does get there, and I think it has a little bit more top speed than the Aston Martin, and still going to be way ahead into the braking zone. The Saxon in the Aston really closes up, gets a little bit squirrely on the exit, and that gap opens up again at the exit of turn 1. Yeah, good driving from all these guys right now, doing everything they need to. No real major errors that will actually force a position. Hanny Corey and Noah Reinhardt still waiting in the wings to pounce if there are any major errors. They're going along now. So, let's see. Is there any chance we can maybe have... Ooh, dear, what's happening to Craig Bust there in the Alpine? He's absolutely just got on straight. I'm not too sure what happened there. And thankfully, it doesn't collect one of the GT cars. It came very, very close. Thankfully, it did not affect the battle for P3 in the GT field, as the leader of hypercars does start to side through as well. We've got a replay now. It's one of the blue Cadillacs. I want to say, oh, catches the rear lock brakes. I think this is Xavier Eaton, and you see Craig Donnelly in the BMW goes past, so it's an easy position gain. It has to wait as a couple of cars still rejoining. Does a sensible job there. Unfortunately, yeah, just caught the rear brakes. So easy to do at this circuit. A lot of heavy braking zones actually, and as I said, the regen just sometimes just snaps that rear brake, rear axle quite violently when you're not suspecting it. Another replay here. Ben's been on it with the cams, so it's potentially another rear lockup for Craig Busk, and just misses Saxon Hayes. Oh, so close to Saxon getting absolutely wiped out there. but does avoid him, and thankfully the Alpine just manages to scrub off enough speed, and as he catches the Aston Martin, it's getting up to the same part of the track. I'm hoping he goes and gets it through a little bit cleanly, giving a very wide berth, understandably so. Not too surprising, maybe feeling a little bit sheepish on his own error, obviously not intended at all. What was that on the previous lap? Does open the gap between between Ben and Saxon a little bit. Might affect Ben a little bit as the hypercar gets past him into these next couple of corners. Yeah, but it wouldn't be surprised if Saxon got a little bit spooked out there, to say the least, from that error from the Alpine. Just gonna say, I don't think we got any way to have an indication of what the current virtual energies are out there, to see if anyone has to do a box anytime soon. Try and get that information for you. I do apologize, Lucas Keys getting through some of these guys right now. Just checking. Oh, thank you very much there. So yeah, looking like the GT fields are in the mid-20s to high 20s. For the most part, I did just check the hypercars as well on one of the guys' streams. It looks like they're in the mid-30s for the most part, so I think they will be okay, but potentially we might see a last minute... Oh, as the McLaren stopped and the wheel on track, I think that was unfortunately the aforementioned Chris Neville in the red, white, and red, pink, and blue McLaren there. Stopped at the side of the track where we saw Graham Hill unfortunately lose his rear wing. Unfortunately, it looks like he's lost a little bit more substantial as Chris in the McLaren. Lost potentially one of the front wheels. I did see stop there, so quite a considerable accident there for Chris Neville. A few more of the hypercars getting through as Peter Papiano sibing his way through in the Peugeot. Should easily get this done on Saxon Hayes. Yes, he does. Peter Papiano, I wonder where he is. He is actually only a couple of seconds off the back of Max Ricker. So we're watching now. This is Chris Neville sweeping through 100R. And, oh, does he go too wide? Yes, he dips the wheel. And, oh, quite a considerable accident. Nosedives and comes to almost a hard stop into the air, into the barriers there, the tire marks there. And thankfully, everyone coming through does see that car and avoid him as well. But yeah, that'll be quite a jarring accident in real life, and I'm sure it wasn't too pleasant from behind of a sim wheel either. But unfortunate there for Chris Neville. That's probably well and truly done his day, and taking the front right corner completely off the McLaren. Yeah, Peter Papiano now only a couple of 2 seconds behind Max Ricker. So we've seen the battle for P3 in the GT field, but it's well and truly still on as well for the hypercar. And I will say, like when I was having a bit of fun in the practice session on Tuesday, Peter was in there doing some very good laps. And we've seen him do some very good times as well, being very competitive in the Peugeot at Kota in the last couple of rounds. Unfortunately, just the result hasn't really been converted on the day due to a few maybe self-inflicted errors and a little bit of bad luck as well. Saxon and Ben Curtis still going at it, maybe right up to the last couple of corners here out there, but Ben Curtis doing everything he needs to just to keep Saxon at bay as it side through the field, and Hanny Corey still there, kind of just still waiting. If these guys really get a run, it seems to be quite tricky just to get a run alongside, like, and actually have a bit of a battle. It's, as I said, testament to both drivers are just doing enough just to keep not getting too close to each other, but not getting too far away either as well. Despite all the constant fluctuations in all the hypercars constantly coming through as well. on board now. I think of so yeah, this is I think this is Noah Reinhardt's Lamborghini. Just a little bit behind the. Not sure if it is. Yes, he is. He's actually fallen a little bit further back from Hani Corey, so definitely he's kind of close enough. If anything goes wrong for these guys, he will kind of benefit, but really kind of not here, there, and not there at the same time. These two just been similarly coloured cars and very similar pace between the two of them. Different shades of orange for them both, but obviously the Fnatic colours for Mr. Ben Curtis, fan of the esports teams. I'm not actually too sure if where Fnatic actually origins as a esports organisation. I always knew them were very popular in Rainbow Six Siege in the past because they had an Australian team, and it was like the only decent Australian team, so everyone rallied behind them. And obviously it was a massive, large organisation, but Siege is a dead game. We'll see these guys still there. People are watching Deja Vu 3 times over tonight with these two. You see Saxon's getting closer and closer, but not going to be able to make anything of it. As Xavier Eaton just gets past these two, and I think he's going to miss the braking zone and just kind of undo all that. Potentially does eventually get past, but just giving the GT cars a bit more of a headache as well as normal. It's not intentional when hypercars do that. It's just so easy to do, especially braking here at turn 1. And when you don't have ABS, you just can't plant it on the brakes like you can in these high GT cars. We'll follow on board if we can and stick, and we'll see how Saxon follows the Lamborghini here from here onto the straight. It's ever so close, just trying to get the little bit of slipstream he can, ever so much, and getting very late on the brakes. Does he get it stopped? Yes, he does, just about. A lot more confident on the brakes. Maybe a little bit deep though, as he couldn't really turn in without going into the Lamborghini. And through these awkward corners, Lambo ekes a little bit out ahead. I think the driving dynamics are a little bit better. And a little bit of a later turn in from Saxon. It kind of loses him a little bit on the exit. The Lamborghini, it's just so hard to follow closely through these last couple of corners as now the run onto the straight. It's been quite close. A little bit of a slide there from Saxon. Is it going to be close enough? It looks pretty close from here. And they're trying to get the slipstream, a little bit of slipstream from the BMW, but I think this is actually maybe the best run potentially for Saxon Hayes right now. He's closing ever so slightly on the Lamborghini. Ben Curtis knows it. He goes up to the wall. He doesn't want him to have the inside. Saxon goes to the outside. Is he going to draw alongside under the braking zone? Yes, he does. He's looking for the crisscross back under, but he can't go there without hitting the back of the Lamborghini. And Ben Curtis just does enough to defend into turn 1, and Saxon gave it his all, but unfortunately couldn't get the crisscross done, and kind of the Lamborghini parked it a little bit on the apex, as is his right as well, and it's just hard racing that ultimately come out on top for Ben Curtis. Great attempt from those two. That was definitely Saxon's best chance and best run on the straight. Ben Curtis knew he had to defend the inside, got the car stopped as well. A little bit deep, but just wasn't enough for Saxon to get that crisscross. Great stuff between these two. Let's do it all over again for the potentially, I'm not even sure what lap we're even up to, but we're 52 minutes into a 1-hour race, 8 minutes to go, potentially probably 3 or 4 times down the back straight for these guys left, and that will be Saxon's kind of best attempts right now. Doing his best, trying to set himself up for a similar attempt like he had last lap, and so it seems to be just a very big struggle to follow for these last couple of corners. Potentially a little bit wide there, Ben Curtis, but actually does give him a kind of a better run onto the straights, and I think the gap is ever so larger by these guys. The hypercar steams through. Mark Bushell hamsters out there in the Peugeot. Aston Martin's trying to get close, and he's getting closer, but it might be a little bit too far back this time around. And yeah, unfortunately, it's just not so close. Really ranges in though under the brakes. A lot more confident is Saxon Hayes, but going through and will do it all over again. Will these two? Great stuff. As I said, oh, big slide there from Ben Curtis. He just caught the edge of the grass potentially and does a great job of saving it. But that could have been all over. It could have been potentially even a top 10 gone out there. But did a good job to save. But he's going to hold on for his P3 right now. But that's going to really live in the back of his mind. He needs to file that away and forget and get back on it. But Saxon sees that and thinks, yes, more of that. We'll get a replay of that. Thank you very much to Ben. But yeah, that was the first biggest substantial mistake. And it's actually a big late braking there from Saxon Hayes. He gets it stopped at the apex. Excellent dive bomb there from Saxon Hayes. He gets it really late braking. Get it to the apex. And he got it still within the corner and the track limits. And he absolutely mugged Ben Curtis there, unfortunately, for the Lamborghini driver. That's P3 to Saxon Hayes, the leader of the GT hypercars. Now size between them. But yeah, absolutely a wild mover there from Saxon Hayes. Wasn't expecting that. Replay now the Lamborghini. This is his error coming into turn 3, Coca-Cola corner. And yeah, I think he just puts the wheel on the corner, and that's a very well saved. And yeah, they definitely potentially might be under threat now from Hani Corey is Ben Curtis. He's really had his cage rattled quite substantially, and Hani have been doing a little bit of a weave, maybe just trying to distract the Lamborghini driver. But what will Ben Curtis do now? Only a few minutes left to go. Only about just over 5 minutes to go until this race is over. And is that shot at the podium gone too? We shall see. But it's in the hands of Saxon Hayes after 55 minutes of excellent defending. Saxon has managed to break the beak of Ben Curtis right now, and currently sits on the P3 of the podium. Yeah, he's gotta get a little bit of hoof in his step and try and break away. Not give Diebold any opportunity to take that back, because he'll be a little bit fired up with himself for letting that happen. And Hani Corey as well, kind of potentially trying now to capitalize, trying to benefit from Ben Curtis's a little bit rattled cage right now. And he's a little bit unsusceptible potentially, whether the Lamborghinis just chewed his tires a little bit. I trust these guys maybe have enough to get to the end if they've gotten this far. Won't be too long to go. Circulating around 92nd lap. So yeah, I think we got 4 laps at maximum. Tricky to say is obviously where Daniel Benefield is on track. Going along down to Saxon Hayes, and he's already pulled. You can see he's pulled a bit of a gap already. A couple of seconds to the good from Saxon, almost in Aston Martin. The Lamborghini going to try and ease up. He goes late on the brakes. Did very good on the brakes there. As Hani Corey has to duck out the way, I believe, of Lucas Keys in the Alpine. Is going to clear the Lamborghini as well. So it's not going to be affected too much in this battle. But yeah, substantial move. I'm not sure, potentially, Ben, if we could get a replay of the move on Saxon. I'm not sure if you can go that far back. My headset's dead, so I want to hear a response anyway. But I trust that it'll be a no, potentially. But we'll love it if we can see that dive bomb again from a couple of laps ago, I believe. Going into turn 10, the chicane. There we go. You ask and shall receive. So you can see Saxon here just follows the normal line. Looks like he's going to continue. And I think he just potentially wasn't even going to go for a move, but the Lamborghini maybe braked a lot earlier than he was expected, and he committed to the send, and he got past because he didn't really V off the court. He didn't really kind of point the car at the apex as soon as he started braking. So I think he was potentially maybe Ben Curtis braked a little bit early. Plus Saxon we saw laps before, he was very confident on the brakes, really closed into that hairpin. So he kind of saw the opportunity, sent it as well, and it was a good awareness as well from Ben Curtis to see him coming. I don't feel like it was a dive. It definitely wasn't a dive, you know, like an F1 dive where it's just like dive and or we'll die, and it'll take us both out. But yeah, it's that was a stellar move of the race from Saxon Hayes. Yeah, still P4 right now for Ben Curtis, which is still a substantial result, I have to say as well. Very competitive the GT field has been. Hanny Corey in P5 as well. Noah Reinhardt not really being able to catch these guys. These guys have been doing some stellar pace out there. And I wonder if maybe that, you know, Lamborghinis have been feeling the tires a little bit, you know, kind of showing the pace between maybe similarities with Ben Curtis and Noah Reinhardt, kind of maybe falling off a little bit later into the race, just, you know, being in the same machinery. It might be a factor, might be just be manifesting right now. It has resulted in Saxon in P3. Hanny Corey still all over the back in the Porsche, still over the back of the Lamborghini just ahead. And oh, Shan Lele, what's happened to Shan Lele? He's dropped down to P5. P2 is what has happened to the Lexus? P6 now. Oh, big slide there. Oh, we potentially got a side camera. I'm guessing that would be a Shan Lele at the side of the track there. Oh, is it another hardware issue or software issue, like a crash like he had at Monza? He was kind of just doing his own thing. We'll get the replay and find out what happened. He's running now down past turn 9, 300R into turn 10, the Dunlop chicane like we saw a few laps ago. Gets it stopped. It looks or normal so far. Everything looks fine, and oh, he just comes to a stop. There's something wrong there. Hardware issue, software issue. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be a DNF for Shan Lele from P2. Literally, one or two more laps. That's the second time now for Shan Lele this season. Like at Monza, on the almost last lap or second to last lap, he's had to retire from P2 in both times as well. Oh, commiserations for Shan Lele right now. The Lexus driver not getting the luck at all. People say I've had bad luck in the sprints. This man's DNF'd on the pretty much last lap. Me too. But potentially Daniel Benefield, I think, might have actually just crossed the line to take the win here at Mount Fuji in Japan, and done an absolutely great job right now. Still circulating along, so maybe actually might be doing it again. I get confused, to say the least, with this system right now, but we have gone over an hour. I trust it's whether Benefield is still circulating for fun or anything like that, but we shall wait and see. But Hanny Corey's definitely still on the back of Ben Curtis at the moment. Yeah, unfortunately, so that's going to promote Saxon Hayes up into P2. So Ben Curtis will get back onto the podium. So it is Hanny Corey into P4, and it's going to be potentially all on him. And as he starts to struggle, Hanny Corey might have a bit of an issue, maybe a little bit of running out of fuel potentially. Not too sure. Really backed off, really dropped back down on that straight quite substantially. And looks like these guys are still circulating around, so yeah, I think we're still racing at the moment. Always get confused with the timer right now. It's still, we're roundly one. I think it accounts for the pre-race time, so I think, is Benefield, I think he's just about to cross the line again. We'll go for another lap. I think Benefield has just sent us around for another lap, because I think the checker flag has just fallen potentially now. If I have got the timing right. And I think, yeah, Benefield has decided we're all going around again. So that'll be quite interesting to see if anyone's fuel is really marginal. Max Ricker going a little bit wide on the exit there, and hopefully didn't get himself a track limit. Gets ahead of top Romo for now. A lot of G cars. Chris Donnelly and Patrick Johnson having to edge past Hanny Corey, and the BMW gets through as well. It's so close between these two. It can all go wrong in a matter of a hard second, but it is all between Patrick Johnson and Chris Donnelly fighting for that position. They both go wide somewhat, trying to get past Benjamin Curtis and the GT car fields, but it is the honours for P6 on hypercars right now, and they will go around, and I think they'll have to do one more lap potentially as well, as these guys have not been lapped by the leader, getting past Saxon Hayes there in P2. And yeah, very close. Really gave Chris Donnelly a chance right now, potentially, to get past, but with dealing with that GT traffic, we're going around again. This will be the last lap, I'm pretty certain. So I think Benefield is now actually crossing the line for a real. I want to say, will I be confident? Will I be rewarded in my confidence? But I'm pretty sure he has crossed the line for the win. I think you can see him already starting to back off. Yes, he has as well. So, yeah, there's congratulations to Benefield. He wins this round of the Fuji Speedway, round 6 of the LMU WEC series for Octane. And, oh, Lucas Keys on the grass. What's happened? Lucas Keys, the P2 in the hypercar field, has on the grass, and he's fallen back to P4. Max Ricker up into P2 and Papiano on P3. What has happened to Lucas Keys? Oh, they're going to come around. Ricker does cross the line P2. Papiano does cross the line P3, and Lucas is going to fall out. So, oh, Lucas really now under threat from Max Ricker in the Toyota. Potentially, is there a contact between the two? Ricker sends it up the inside. Oh, the camera angle's really not ideal there. I don't think that was Ben's fault. But, yeah, Ricker does send it up the inside, but Lucas still defending easily up the down. Ricker sends it up again, and they bang, and they touch wheels on the exit of that corner. So what's happened? And then Lucas has lost it, rejoining in the process. Oh dear me. Oh, he's unfortunately floundering around trying to get it back. He's up on the hill on the wet grass. Oh my. So that is a change things quite on the last lap, on the last couple of corners for the podium of the hypercars. So that is going to be Ricker ahead of Papiano. I think that may have been, I want to say, Max Ricker's error into Lucas Keys, but then Lucas went for a spin, catching the bump as he went back on track as Benefield completes his victory lap right now. And Ben Curtis does go finish P3 in the GT field. It was Top Brummer who takes the win in the GTs. Saxon Hayes finishes P2 and Ben Curtis finishes P3. But yeah, what a shock change of result on that last couple of corners for the hypercars. My oh my! I thought it was done and the book was shut for those guys at the hypercars.
He certainly cannot park there.
And we'll leave that one to the stewards. We'll let them do anything like that. And obviously, I don't think there was any penalty brought in for the what's it called that we saw earlier. The contact, I forget actually, between I think Tim Vaughan and Lucas Keys, potentially. Well, not between Graham Hill and Lucas Keys. I think that went a case of a racing incident. But Peter Papiano gets, I believe, one of his. Maybe his first podium in the LMU series or one of his first podiums, but definitely a result has been coming for him in the Peugeot. So yeah, just looking for the handbrake there in the Peugeot right now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame to end the race that way. Hell, everybody, I thought I'd just
I can't hear anyone because my headset's dead. I will actually, if I go to my speakers.
Sorry about that. I thought I'd just jump in and give you a bit of a hand towards the end there, but I didn't realize you were doing this solo. Well done on that, by the way. But yeah, a bit of a shame to end the race that way for Lucas with a bit of contact. Not sure if that was a bit of a desperate move last sector, last lap of the race there, but yeah, looks like that was a pretty good race overall, though.
Oh, you can hear me, I'm guessing?
Yes, I can hear you.
I didn't even notice when you joined. I apologize if I've been talking all over you in the whole process.
No, all good. I just jumped in the last couple of minutes there.
Appreciate it, Liam. Appreciate it immensely. And yeah, quite an absolute shake up there at the end. But we're going to run our ThermalTake giveaway right now for anyone who's raced in the last couple of races. Are automatically entered. So everyone has a chance out there, even you, even me, potentially, Liam. But we'll see who wins. Thank you very much to ThermalTake, obviously, for putting up these kind of rewards to give away. And it is gonna be John Stockton. Congratulations. I'm sure someone will get in contact with you, or vice versa. And you'll be getting your ThermalTake gift card. But I believe that's everything. We'll probably cut to a short break and then we'll have Split Red in 5 minutes time, I believe, back at ZANDVOORT on ACC. So yeah, don't go anywhere. 5 minutes time, back with Split Red.
Green light. Go, go, go.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for round 6 of the ThermalTake Sprint Series here in the Netherlands at ZANDVOORT for your late night Thursday racing. Joining me once again, as per usual, is the familiar soothing sounds of Matt Madden. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, very, very good evening to you, sir. What a wonderful night it is. It takes me back to being a kid. We're building sand forts. Wait, no, it's ZANDVOORT. My goodness, this track. What a night of racing ahead of us. One big question on everyone's mind, Liam. Where rain?
I know, I was just thinking that before we went live. If anyone joined us last week, we had, I think, like a month's worth of rain hit the circuit over that hour. It is was the wettest racing I think I've ever done in OR and ACC. We had heavy rain, and I think the track lost the best part of 5 or 6 seconds throughout the course of the race. So if that's anything to go by, then we are in for an absolute treat here tonight. Got to be making up, hopefully, for, well, unless you're a steward, making up for what didn't happen last night, which was no penalties were handed out in the entire race, even though it was wet the entire time. I do not know how it happened, but everyone did very well last night to keep it very, very clean. But at the moment, as we start qualifying, it's actually dry. So for those of you who do not know, we're in for a mixed conditions race. So, and the weather could absolutely change, although it looks like it's going to stay pretty stagnant here at the start, which is a bit of a surprise. But yeah, could come through later in the race, potentially with some more rain. So we'll have to keep an eye out for the weather as it changes throughout the course of the night. We could get up with heavy rain, and it's going to make a challenge for these drivers, you know, when they've got their cars set up for some mixed conditions, where the cars are going to work in the wet. And what a circuit it is, tight, twisty, bumpy, and not really a fan favourite from what I hear. How do you feel about ZANDVOORT?
You know, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I think it's a really cool circuit. Maybe I've just never had a good race here. But I know for a lot of the guys that I race with, the Pidgeys have had some amazing moments at ZANDVOORT. I think that's kind of the benefit of it not being a favoured circuit. Kind of opens it up, lets a few, you know, not our common top tier challenges come through and potentially kind of pose a really, really good time here tonight. But yeah, going back, I was just sort of pondering over the thought about no penalties in a wet race. And I wonder if it's a bit like, you know, actual road driving as we see race control. Give us a bit of a test message there. Benny Hignett on the cams tonight, guided you through LMU, a one-man show from Cam Thistlewaite and into our ThermalTake Sprint Series at ZANDVOORT on ACC this evening. But yeah, I do wonder whether maybe heavy rain just encourages a little bit more cautious driving, particularly most of us race in cockpit, Cam. I think there's a really, really limited view that you have while you're in there, particularly with the raindrops flying absolutely everywhere. I definitely drive more cautious in the wet. So there's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would certainly be doing that. The spray last night was absolutely horrendous. Luckily, I only had to deal with that coming up behind blue flag cars, but even just when I was practicing, I was sort of driving based off of, like, guessing braking points based off of where my RPM was and what gear I was in, rather than what I could actually see in front of me, because truth be told, I couldn't see a single thing in front of me. So yeah, you do you struggle to get close just because you can't see. So it does definitely encourage some safer driving, which is probably the opposite of what you think, people just sending at missing braking markers, that kind of thing. But yeah, everyone was very calm and cautious. So we'll see whether that happens tonight. But we're halfway through just about this qualifying session. We're seeing Chris Cooley with a 35.5. I'm actually surprised. I would have thought he would have gone faster. I did see him in the 34s, but he made it very well known, as we see Breno there go up to a 35.1. He made it very well known that he is not a fan of this circuit whatsoever. So we'll see where he ends up here tonight, but not sure what the grip level is, but it is dry. I would be thinking that we'll see these top guys get into the 34s, possibly around the mid 34s, maybe high 34s, unless it is maybe only a fast track. I'm not 100% sure what the conditions were, but being cloudy, I suspect it's a little bit cooler as well. Giacomin here, 7/10 up through the last quarter. That is going to bump him up quite a few positions, push him towards the top as he comes across the line. That's going to put him P3 there. Breno Ellis in first. Breno actually jumped Cooley, which is quite surprising to see. 3/10 ahead. You do not see that very often whatsoever. So a bit of tie of a field up at the top, and I suspect Aiden Squires hopefully is on a flying lap as well to get up there. Chris Cooley up a couple of tenths, but surprising that's not going to jump Breno. Giacomo's dropped back to the pit lane there. Aiden Squires is actually, well, the best part of half a second behind there, so maybe he had a bit of a scruffy lap in the Mustang. I do believe the Mustang is not the car that you want to have at this circuit, is what he's been telling me. I've been speaking to him all week, and it's not a happy chappy in that Mustang. It likes to understeer, and then it likes to slide, especially in the wet, so it's going to be a handful for him. Chris Cooley in the livery. I was going to say lovely livery, but it's not even a livery, it's just a black car, but you know what, we'll take it compared to some of the other stuff that they like to run. 3/10 up there, that is going to push him very, very close to the top there. Bruno Ellis still P1, but I think, not sure if he's going to do it, he's going to jump in probably within a 10th, and he does.
Yep.
A 35.2 there. Aiden Squires, hopefully that's not invalid. I suspect that is just ACC leaderboard, timing board things we should be well familiar with that one now. Up, getting towards half a second through this tricky turn 9, turn 10 section. Long corners, long braking zones. You can't really get too much into the brake. We see him actually in the dry you can, but in the wet you can barely get past half brake pressure. These corners are not very nice in the dry. You miss your braking marker and you cannot do anything about it for the next 10 seconds, so not very friendly. But as he's getting up here, so he's got 7/10 of a second to find to get towards the top there with Breno Ellis and Chris Cooley. I've seen him in practice probably getting up around, probably got the better of the Audi not being very fun here across the bumps, even though it is a tight track and the Audi is quite a good downforce car. You've got to make sure it's set up right or it is going to be a nightmare. He's getting more time through this final turn 14, this corner. Easily flat in qualifying. In the race it is a less so. It's going to put him very, very close, dropping time slightly. He's going to get close towards the top. He goes P2, 2/1000ths of a second there, ahead of Christopher Cooley, if you don't mind.
Take back everything we said about the Mustang. It's the car for this track. My goodness, that is very, very impressive. Particularly as you were saying, the Mustang is not a great car for the old switchback circuits like Zandvoort, but Aiden Squires goes out to prove us wrong as we're on board with Gallagher here as well. A couple of Fords up there in the top 10 already with Weatherburn, only a fraction behind him, about 1.5 seconds to the tune of Gallagher in 6th place now. But Gallagher up 0.27, just dropping a little bit squeamish exiting that turn there. We do like this OOR livery that is sported by Gallagher's Mustang, the old green and matte black with a massive filthy big OOR, showing and pledging his allegiance as he goes up towards the line. 0.25 is the number. He's going to push him up into the top 5, 0.3 off the lead. Very impressive, everything we've said, and we've got 3 Mustangs in the top 10.
Yeah, that is very surprising indeed. Maybe the Mustang is the car for here. But yeah, we'll see if that actually continues, if it does rain here. And hopefully you do see some rain. We'd love to see some mixed conditions, making it nice and challenging for these guys. You don't realize it when you're just watching, but there's a lot of decisions that they've got to make on the fly. And unlike a lot of the time, unlike a real race, there's no engineer in your ear talking to you, telling you what you've got to do. So you've got to try and make sure you've got enough fuel, set your tire pressures, make sure you've got the right tires, even selected in some cases. We've seen far too many races where someone hasn't managed to get that right. Aiden Squires jumps to the top there with a 35.1. Oh, wow. This is so tight towards the front. There's a 10th of a second exactly separating the top 3. Christopher Cooley, he's actually not gained any time. He's about even as we come through the final chicane here. There's 11 and 12 complex out towards the last 2 corners. Does he get a good run? It's about the same as it was before. Let's see if he can get a good run through these last 2 corners down to 2nd gear, up to 3rd. Oh, touching the grass and the gravel a little bit there, holding it flat through the final turn 14, keeping it tight, running it out, using as much road as he can. Up to 5th gear, he's going to get to 6th just after the line. He's going to cross, and we are going to be about dead even. Does not improve by an ever so slight amount there. A couple of minutes left in this session as we cut over to Luca Giacomo, just starting his lap. 2/10 up, so he's actually made a strong showing there through the first sector, through turn 2, turn 3. Down through these S's. In the dry, they are completely flat. In the wet, they are... depends how brave you are, to be completely honest. As we come through the very, very long bank, turn 7 there. That corner is a lot of fun when you get it right. Otherwise, you end up pogoing over the gravel and bouncing all sorts of stuff, getting up on the curb there through turn 8 into the long, awkward braking zone. The very wider on exit turn 9 there, using all the track. Not quite. Could have run a little bit wider, if anything. Turn 10, keeping it tight, trying to square up the corner and get a good exit onto the... it's going to say long straight. It's really not that long at all, but it is the second longest straight that we have here at the moment in Zandvoort. trying to get a good run. He is 3 tenths off at the moment. He's come breaking into the final chicane. I mean, it's relatively the only chicane, but gains a lot of time on entry. He's going to give that away on exit. Manages to hold. He does lose a little bit of time. Might have gone a little bit too hot into the chicane there, I think. Back down to 3 tenths. Still, having said that, he's only 4 tenths off of P1, so it's actually still really tight at the front here. I am actually very impressed with these guys, keeping it very, very close indeed. Gains a lot of time through the last 2 corners, and he's gaining time, not quite down the straight. He's going to jump in very close to the front, if not to the top, and he does. 35.0.
Oh, and Breno's just come in and snapped it. That's a really tight battle for the top. We are going to have probably the most exciting battle pack for 1st through 5th that we've seen, as Chris Cooley just goes in with a 134.882. Elation here as we come to the final 15 seconds of qualifying. On board with Aiden Squires, still on his final lap, is going to post this time. There is 0.1 or 0.09 to gain here as he comes through, nearing the midsection of the track. This is a particularly difficult section. All of these fast switchbacks, no real clean-cut braking markers. Really got to suck in and get as close as you can to the curb. Use all of the track here. Hang out wide, dip in left. Can't accelerate too early because you will slide out, but uses that slip angle really nicely, does Squires. Aiden now under the Assetto Corsa Competizione banner. ThermalTake Sprint Series onto his final couple of corners now. We shouldn't see any other laps after this. I think all of the other leaders have pulled over or gone to Chris Cooley is in the pits. So we see Aiden Squires up 0.27 now, going to bounce up the lead. At the moment, he's on for a pole if he can hold it. He's just got to carry it. He's just going to carry this speed up to the final little. He's going to get a little bit of a toe. Come on, Aiden.
Oh.
Oh, so close.
God, he's going to be absolutely spewing with that 100.
Breno
jumps in there by not very much margin at all. A couple of cars still yet to cross the line. I'm not sure if anyone is improving. Jumping on board there with Jack Miller. About a 10th is not going to be enough to jump up any positions, but P6, that just changed there. P6, car 313 has been disqualified, so I think there's actually a qualifying ban for a couple of drivers here. So free position for a couple of spots there. Jack Miller is going to he's going to improve, I believe, but doesn't jump up any other positions there, just half a 10th rather behind Gallagher in the Mustang. That is a crazy qualifying session. The top 3 separated by less than a 10th of a second. Oh my goodness, these guys are very, very close. It's going to make this race tricky though, because there is not really any passing opportunities. Really, turn 1 is about the only place that you've got to pass, unless your balls are rather large, I think is the best way to put that. But yeah, so it's going to make it tricky there. You're going to have to wait for someone to make a mistake, and looking at these names at the top, they are not ones for making mistakes whatsoever. But yeah, still rather cloudy as we go for a lovely stroll down the grid. Very, very nice camera work from Mr. Higner there, as per usual, setting the standard for OOR here that we are watching for sure, and it makes it all the more enjoyable to watch. Yeah, lovely and cloudy at the moment, so we're going to have some changeable conditions. I'm not sure what the weather forecast is going to tell us. It doesn't seem like anything is going to change for the first half an hour or so, so we'll absolutely keep an eye on the radar that we definitely have. By radar, we mean 30 minutes of game time weather updates.
The Daily Bailey. It's as good as we get.
We'll see how that one changes through the race, and hopefully we get some rain for these guys, because full dry is a little bit boring, and no one really wants to see that, right?
That's not why we come for a variable race. You and I bought tickets, front row seats, no less, to get the best out of our variable conditions. So Biggie Higgy allegedly doing a rain dance up there in Newcastle, raining it down for us tonight. But this is, I think, I'm going to call this early. This is probably going to be our tightest competitive top 5, or you know, tightly contested rather top 5 that we've seen so far. But some very interesting revelations that we've got. Gia Coman has a qualifying ban, which means that he will be starting from the back. Now, we know that he's one of the fastest drivers on the grid tonight. I think he would have qualified 3rd, perhaps, fourth, sorry, just behind Breno Ellis, Chris Cooley, and Aiden Squires. So now, knowing that he is up the back of this rather large grid for a ZANDVOORT race, midweek on your Thursday night late nights, that's going to be particularly interesting to watch him surge his way up through the grid, no doubt.
Yeah, we've seen what his driving is like, and it's certainly going to make it interesting as he tries to carve his way through the field. But as I kind of alluded to before, there's not really many overtaking opportunities through ZANDVOORT, so he's going to have to still be patient a little bit and just find the right time to make the move on the cars ahead of him. We want to obviously see everyone keep it nice and clean, but I'll just give you a bit of a rundown of our top 10 there. So we've got Breno Ellis in P1 in the Audi, qualified Christopher Cooley. These cars very different off the start. One of them naturally aspirated, big V10, the other one turbocharged with big turbos and lots of turbo lag. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys get them off the line. Then you've got Aiden Squires there in second in the Mustang, also a big fast starting car. Tio in the Ferrari in fourth, Gallagher fifth, Miller sixth, Sam in seventh, Weatherburn eighth, Charados ninth, and Carl Johnson in your Porsche in rounding out your top 10. Porsche in these conditions, assuming we get some rain. Come on, Kunos gods, give us some rain, please. Porsche is going to be very strong in mixed conditions. We get a lovely overview of the Zandvoort. I guess we can kind of dub that one there. Not too far off the coast. Maybe we'll get some coastal breeze there and push in that rain.
Yeah, quite a nice view, and it really does go to show you just how much effort goes into making some of these maps on the Kunos department. The surrounds, the coast. They don't have to render it all. They don't have to build it, but they do. And isn't it gorgeous on the coast here of the Netherlands? And what a beautiful, beautiful cloudy afternoon it is. So, yep, no rain on our radar for the first 30 minutes of the race, guaranteed. There is very low wind, it looks, so nothing is going to be blowing in to surprise us in that 30 minutes worth of time. For those that don't know, that is roughly how the ACC weather system works. Wind kind of blows in different weather fronts, and it gives us all sorts of manner of randomization as we go through our race here tonight. But low wind means that we should experience some relatively stable conditions. But that is all on the weather report. Now here, looking at your top 5, we've already said this is going to be heavily contested, but we've got Breno Ellis and Chris Cooley rounding out the top 2. Very unusual to see that matte black Aston behind another car, particularly one that's not having a blue flag waving at it, Lamb.
Yeah, 100%. We might actually see Christopher Cooley if he doesn't get a good launch. I mean, it's hard to hold it around the outside of turn 1. It is basically a 180-degree U-turn right-hander, and he's going to be on the outside. So if he doesn't get a good run and doesn't get the jump, he's going to have to actually make an overtake in this race if he wants to win this one. We've seen him not really love ZANDVOORT, so he's going to have his work cut out for him. It might be maybe a little bit unfamiliar to him here in these sprint races, or whether we can see Squires get a good run behind the fast-starting Audi and potentially push up another position. All to play for here right at the start of this race. And just to confirm there was another qualifying ban that I saw, and that was Jusman that had another qualifying ban. So watch for those two coming through the race there. Certainly some faster drivers there starting well out of position as we go double file, rounding out through the last corner. Certainly not flat out at this point in time, making sure these guys drive over their grid boxes. We are optimum and grip level is 20 degrees ambient, 27 degrees track. Actually a little bit warmer than I would have expected as we come down towards the line. Not too long to wait now before we go racing for split red at ZANDVOORT here. Coming down to the line, waiting, not too long to go now. See if Aiden Squires get a good jump. Chris Cooley just starting a little bit further behind the Audi as we go green there. Looks like the Audi gets a good jump. Porsche 3-4 wide. Aiden Squires looks towards the outside. That is going to be Cooley defending. It's going to squeezes him really tight. He's actually holding it pretty well. Now the Aston just gets a bit of a launch there, manages to fend off Aiden Squires, but he's looking very, very racy on this race start. Tio in the Ferrari there gets a bit closer as well. We are still side by side further back, but it's pretty well behaved. A little bit of a touch, and around goes the Ferrari. A bit of a contact with the barrier there. Not sure exactly who that one was, but yeah, a little bit of a that's unfortunate there. We were being very well behaved there. A couple of shuffles for position, and we're still side by side further back through these kinks. These kinks are just about flat out in a good day, let alone when you are side by side. It looks like towards the front we've got Breno Ellis and Christopher Cooley, so nothing really changing towards the front, sort of all line astern there, but actually looks like it's still Cooley, even though he didn't qualify up the front, still has the pace on the Audi. But yeah, we'll see where the trains start to form, and or whether or not Breno actually has the pace and the car control composure to run away from these guys as we look further back towards the back of your top 10. Very nice camera work as we come into the final chicane, the Hans Ersbocht, as my track map is telling me. Don't ask me to repeat that again because it's not happening. Single file pretty much, a little bit of a side-by-side with Giacomo and one of the cars further back there, but to be honest, only one incident. Actually pretty good for a ZANDVOORT start because this track is tight and bumpy. Basically a go-kart track with GT3 cars on it.
Yeah, confirming that it was Rob Buckerfield that went off into the wall there on the Ferrari. I'll tell you what, there's a fair bit of jostling mid-pack off that race start. I saw a Porsche shoot way up the inside looking for any kind of room to get around and then almost got pushed into the wall, but thankfully everyone kind of backed off and gave each other just a little bit of room. But we are on board with Francis Sam here, sandwiched nicely in between a Ford and another McLaren of Jackie Miller up the front there. This is such a good turn here. I love the camber. Just sink your teeth in and really let it rip into this, well, it's not really a straight, but there is, worth noting, there's a little bump there on the right-hand side, just where you see that white paintwork. Can really upset the car if you hit it, and will indeed just shoot you off into the never never. So keep an eye on this car of Jack Miller. Is a very, very fast and smooth operator. So let's see where he ends up. He's currently sitting in 6th. After an outstanding qualifying session. But yes, on board, we've got Chris Cooley now almost half a second behind Breno Ellis. Squires another half second behind him, and Tio falling back, possibly holding up just a little bit of the grid there at 1.5 seconds behind our lead pack of 3.
Yeah, 3 pros and 3 silvers towards the front. A couple of pro-ams smattered in the back of the top 10. Yeah, at least 3, as we sort of expected, are going to pull away at the front, I believe, based on what I saw in the practice times. That Mustang, getting a little bit squirrely, taking a lot of the inside curb as well. Mustang definitely better suited to the curb than something like the Audi. To jump a little bit further back, there's a couple of sort of distinctive trains that are forming. Breno does a 36.0. That's pretty solid for a race lap. Maybe expect to see a couple of tenths come off that if the pace that I've seen is to be believed. But yeah, looking at your silver, I guess almost train here, as there's 4 or so cars further back, Tio and Gallagher, Miller and Sam. Even Weatherburn there within half a second of the McLaren, that number 11 of Francis Sam. So yeah, we're going to see this will probably be a common trend as we go through this race. There'll be a couple of packs, I suspect, pretty difficult to overtake here. You kind of almost need to employ the mind pump strategy. Just sort of showing the nose in the mirrors and making sure the driver in front is very much aware that you are there. Oh, you see that McLaren go very, very wide. You do not want to go out there on a good day. It is really, really bumpy. I feel like I almost did a front flip in practice there, trying to get through there too hard. There's some huge bumps in that runoff, and they will not treat your car very nicely, especially if you're in something a little bit more sensitive like the McLaren. But that moment there has allowed Francis Sam right up to the back of Jack Miller within a couple of tenths. We'll see once that leaderboard does update as we go into the 3rd sector here. Yeah, still 4 tenths, so tricky to pass on this circuit for sure. We'll see. He goes a little bit wide, using way more of that inside curve. That's a bit of a sloppy line. That is not where he wanted to be. All over the track there, and still no way past as we see our first yellow flag of the race. That's the number 420 that looks like he's had a moment, maybe gone a little bit too deep into the chicane. Just get that one rolling again. Aiden Squires looking to throw the nose down the inside, do that little mind punt that you were just talking about, is not close enough to make a move and doesn't want to risk being late on the brakes here, as you'll attract a penalty for a dive bomb or perhaps cut off your opponent, which will not see you favourably in the steward's eyes. But we've got here, Aiden Squires does go purple too with that last little lap, just reminding Chris Cooley that he is there and he is looking to pass at some stage. So we're going to get a bit of a replay here. We're on board. I believe this could be... Oh no, this is... Whoa, where have we... Oh no! Buy that AMG and Atlas, Hamo. Where have we gone there? Is that Gosling? Yeah, I think Gosling, or is it Sam O'Brien? I'm not sure. It might be Sam O'Brien in the Merc, actually. Yeah, the AMG. I think it is Sam. Unfortunately, just getting a little bit lost there, trying to head his way back towards Belgium by the looks of things in that one. Not where you wanted to be whatsoever, facing the wrong way. Do not want to be seeing the cars come towards you as they head into that final chicane there. But yes, got that one recovered. Turn left at Luxembourg. Do not turn right. You will end up in France. Yeah, so
Interesting little line there, but we are seeing Aiden Squires just knocking on the back door there of Cooley, just reminding him, hello, I'm here. It's the Ford Mustang, just in case you forgot about me. I'm here taking up the entirety of this go-kart track. Aiden Squires does have the pace here, and Chris Cooley just struggling a little bit in the defense, perhaps 1.16 seconds now behind the leader of Breno Ellis. And it looks like with this defensive play that he's going to have to focus on for the next couple of laps at least, he might be dropping a fair bit of time to Breno in this period.
Play his Jaws music in background as we see Cooley go defensive towards the Mustang. He's going to try and squeeze him towards the outside. Actually got an overlap, but unfortunately there is gone a little bit too deep and is not going to hold around the outside. It's probably something he's going to have to try and work hard at to get if he's going to be able to pull that one off. But all this defending is actually allowing Breno to pull away towards the front there. And I know Aiden Squires is going to be very, very hungry to try and catch Breno. Those two going tit for tat in the practice session. So yeah, 1.4 second gap towards the front there, and something I certainly did not have on my bingo list for tonight is to see Christopher Cooley defending a position and not first place at that. It looks like Squires really has the pace on Chris there. Cooley just not quite gelling with the track. He did mention to me in practice that he is not a fan of this circuit whatsoever. I was going to get another replay here. This is the Sam versus the McLaren of Miller.
Oh no, Sam's just gone super deep, but that is a great outcome considering how hard that knock was. But now, yeah, poor Jackie Miller's going to have Weatherburn on his tail there going to the next lap while Sam drops back a position. And you're exactly right. You know, if I can think back through history, possibly the first test of the atom bomb, the US president announcing the end of World War II, the first moon landing, possibly, you know, the 2000s New Year as we go through Y2K, and Christopher Cooley having to defend in an ACC race. All big firsts, all things that the nations watched on their screens, gripped and not being able to look away. We are here witnessing a world first, I dare say. Chris Cooley now having to block off the main straight at Zandvoort to keep Aiden Squires at bay. God, that's got to feel good of your squirrels.
Truly a historical moment that we are seeing here. Oh, I think that's Charados in the Porsche just going a look very, very wide actually into turn one. Covers off the position behind between Mateen. Yeah, but first we had us two commentating about this history moment number one, and number two you're seeing in split red is Christopher Cooley defending a position. We are bringing you all of the first here in split
history
red.
Makers,
Thursday late night, 100%. As I did see a little bit earlier there before we cut away from this one, it was the McLaren there of Jack Miller. Actually, despite taking that big knock, looks like he's already pulled quite a big gap on Jacob Weatherburn on Yoda there. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Francis. Looks like Francis has dropped back a little bit further there. So hopefully not too much damage and he can keep that strong pace. He's actually caught the back of the Mustang of Craig Gallagher there in that number 84. So not that knock really looked like it didn't knock his confidence too much at all, as he's still pulling in very, very strong pace. Further back there, Mateen all over the back of Charados, going to stick the nose towards the inside through turn 10, getting that better drive as well, trying to hold it around the outside, but he gets it down the overlap. Porsche is still there. He's going to turn it back down the inside. Harder to hold around the outside, around the chicane, taking a lot of curb, especially in that McLaren. Get away with that in the Aston, not so much in the McLaren. Bit of a slide there from Charados, but looks like he's going to hold position. There is certainly going to be no way past through this turn 13, turn 14 section.
How's the bloody drive on Charados there, escaping that, you know, what looked to be a sure thing, the move there from Mateen, managing to hold it really, really nicely, as we're seeing Chris Cooley again just staring down the barrel of the headlights of the Ford as Aiden Squires looks for any way around Dink Donk that he can possibly get away with. Now the gap 1.4 seconds to Breno Ellis, who is racing in completely clean air as we see Mateen go wide around Charados, almost taking out the back end of him, pushing up the inside, not giving Charados any room to move, and then forcing him onto the grass. Not a place you want to be. That is a dodgy area to rejoin, but everyone very, very attentive to that position of the car. Manages to get away damage-free all around, but the stewards might take a look at that, as it could be seen as a bit of a push-off, but we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of stewards as well, we've got Ben Curtis just letting us know that 2 5-second penalties are coming in for the far back on the race start tonight. We'll update you with who those are. It looks like one of those belongs to Lee Perkins.
Yeah, I was just going to call that one out there. I did see a yellow flag. Looks like car 9 has reset a pit lane. There's another yellow flag there with the 109 there through turn 5. I wonder if those cars might have had a coming together along that back section of, I was going to say back straight. It's really not a straight. It's two fast corners, but yeah, not a place where you want any contact, especially with the ACC physics. This train further back there towards the back of the top 10, really hotting up there. There is probably, what, 4 or 5 cars within a meter or two, if that. As we jump back towards the front there, Aiden Squires really close to the back of Cooley. Cooley's going to defend towards the inside once again. Cooley,
Aiden Squires down the inside.
Very wobbly there. Oh, that is very nice driving by the two of them not to come together. Cooley's going to have to watch those defensive moves as he's kind of starting to weave a little bit. That might catch the attention of the stewards there, trying to hold off Aiden Squires. We saw him get the purple lap. He absolutely has the pace over Chris Cooley, and at the moment he's just seeing that Audi start to run away, that gap being stretched out to 1.7 seconds there or thereabouts. So he's going to be not hot-headed, but he's going to be wanting to find a way past as quick as he possibly can, actually being held up by Chris Cooley, which I think again is another first.
Yeah, and Cooley is actually he's a very calm, very precise operator under pressure. So it's a fair few chances that he's actually going to play some mind games here. We'll
Watch this one here.
We're on it. Oh, and that's the Porsche of Charados, it looks, and that very handy escape road there is actually serviced. The Nissan. And that's commentator's curse. No wall hit though, so we'll be able to right oneself and drive off. But yeah, no.
Snip into replay.
I still feel like it's happening in live time in front of us. But Biggie Higgy, great work on the cameras catching that little incident. We don't know why Charados was stopped in the middle of the track. Could have been many different things, including hardware issues or perhaps an earlier incident that we didn't catch. So wait and see as we are on board with Gallagher having to defend against Millsy, who has surged back up through the pack after a couple of, nefarious looking laps beforehand. And there's a lot of gravel to take almost out there, but using just every inch of that little kind of bricked up section there. Oh, look at how far inside Christopher Cooley is holding Aiden Squires. Squirrel's looking for a way around the outside, but there is quite literally zero grip as soon as you leave the rubber in line there. Cooley almost playing some mind games there, Hamo. This is very good operating from a seasoned operator, but you can see how much time it's cost him. They're now 3.2 seconds behind the lead.
If he was any further to the right, I think he'd be in the actual pit lane itself. He cannot make there is no way Squires is getting past towards the inside. Unfortunately, he did manage to hold it around the outside. Oh, he's going to stick the nose in turn 7. Cooley's going to run wide. He's going to have a chance here. That's going to be a third. Oh, he gets the move done. Cool, like Cooley can run a bit wide and let him have that one. That was some very aggressive driving by these two, but I think that they did very well to keep it clean. Very nice work there by Squires. He's going to be very pleased with himself. So he has got the purple lap. Let's see if he can actually pull this one back and chase down Breno Ellis side by side further back between Gallagher and Miller. Weatherburn sitting further back, going to want a piece of this one as well, just in case anything happens. And speaking of, there's a little bit of touch. They run wide. Weatherburn's going to get the position. He's going to get the run down to the back chicane on Miller. Miller not backing out of this one. It's going to stay towards the inside, and I think that's going to keep the position. Although moves to the inside very early, it's going to compromise his exit big time. The Mustang going to get a strong run compared to the McLaren, gets a little bit of a wobble, but this is not really a straight that you could do anything about unless you get a really poor run. Just going to have to stick behind the McLaren there. So they're going to get a replay of this move as he gets sent very late. Just scared Cooley off the line, to be honest, and that's exactly what he needs to do. Ran wide, and sure enough, there he is down the inside of turn 8, Masterbach, according to my map. And that's all you're getting from me. As we cut further back, the battle between Gallagher, Miller, and Weatherburn. These two train of 3 cars really close together. These two also going ham and tong at it. Very nice driving by the 3 of them.
Absolutely, yeah. And a bit of a 1,000 IQ move is coming through from Slady, it looks, in the chat, letting us know that absolutely that was a hell of a move. Playing a few mind games there with Squires to sneak around Cooley, forced him off into a forced error. Off the track goes Cooley. So now we're on board with Jack Miller. This has been a very hotly contested battle here, but we've also seen Get the Intro, our man in the chat, letting us know that the Marshal was waving the green flag next to the backwards facing GTR. Some true Bathurst 12-hour level marshalling going on there, if we can make jokes about that at this point. But we've got Giacomo now. If you remember, he had a qualifying ban, which saw him start second last, and he's surged up the pack. He's now behind Lee Perkins, occupying the 14th position there. He will be looking for any way around. I suspect, having been in this position where you're mid-pack and you've got a bloody fast driver that you've been watching for years race ahead of you now, this is getting very, very tight here as Giacomin gets a little bit frustrated looking for a way around, but it is hard. You ride the line of, no, I have the right to defend this spot, but also, you just kind of want to get out of the way.
Yeah, it depends who you are. Perkins just kind of shutting the door there, not really leaving any room for Giacomo to come through. He's done well to get back up to P14, starting from the back there in the first 15 minutes or so of this race. This battle pack for the top 5 is still hotting up, as we're seeing Weatherburn, a pro driver, I think probably has the pace on these two, but not really finding a way past. Is that Weatherburn? Miller, rather, going to almost looking to make a move into turn 2, but you can't really make a move there. Weatherburn getting very close to the McLaren. These guys are millimeters away from each other, operating at over 200 kilometers an hour. It takes a lot of skill to be able to sit in that close. But yeah, Miller is kind of weaving around, just trying to show the nose, almost going for that mind punt, just trying to find a way through and trying to force Gallagher into a mistake. It looks like he's going to run a little bit wider than he would have liked, but yeah, there's still no way through, and you really need a bigger mistake than that. But he is what we call filling the mirrors, I think, in this case. He's going to... Oh,
it's on the inside!
Oh, there's a touch, and that's going to let Weatherburn come back through as well on Gallagher.
Oh, he loses 2 spots there, does Millsy.
Yeah, Sam's getting involved in this one as well, and that's the Ferrari. I think that's actually, Moyen Taufik is back there as well. Sneaky name, welcome back into this race there. He's had a few races off being away for work, so good to see him back into this one, but I don't think he'll be able to participate in the next few, unfortunately, but taking the opportunity to jump back in and still have some fun. Limited practice from him, I believe, which explains why he is where he is. And this 3-car train just got to a 5-car train to make it even more exciting. How good is that?
Yeah, it's just interesting seeing Jackie Miller up here. He's tonight, this evening, the way that he's driving, he's got the patience of an ADD child on a sugar high. This is absolutely ridiculous seeing him just stick the nose in everywhere, looking for a way around. Even now, that's the straightest we've seen him drive down that main straight here at Zandvoort. Every other time he's been ducking, weaving, just sticking the nose where it may or may not belong. But, rightfully so. He's looking for a way around. He's got the pace here. He's a very, very quick operator, particularly here at Zandvoort tonight, as we see a big backfire there from the McLaren of Francis Samuel. How good Francis Sam here, as we're going to get a bit of a replay. Almost gets the move done here, does Jackie Miller. Goes up the inside. Outstanding move, but late on the brakes, outbrakes himself, and then also gets pushed a little bit wide there from the Mustang of Gallagher. So super tough position to be in, but then drops 2 spots because of it.
Yeah, I think Cray's going to feel a bit hard done by that one. He got pushed wide. He tried to kind of get a cut back, but just as he was steering back, the Weatherburn was coming through there. So sort of ended up in an awkward spot there. He's pointing right towards the inside of the track with the other cars trying to get past. We see Taufik show the nose there on the back of Miller, but there is going to be no way through. Come through turn 10 there, heading down to the back chicane. We also see Sam right up the back of Gallagher there. Another one who's going to be looking to make a move, not going to be close enough into this final chicane. Oh, Cray's going to go deep.
Late on the brakes is Gallagher.
Yeah, but he's still going to hold that one. That is actually very impressive. But yeah, the straight between the chicane and the last 2 corners is not really long enough, unless they get a really bad run to have a look. Oh, speaking of bad runs, he's out very, very wide there, I think, was Gallagher. May make him vulnerable through this last corner. He keeps it on track. Looks like Sam has the overspeed, but nah, not quite enough, and that's going to be probably another lap that he's going to have to sit behind the Mustang. It's now a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nearly a 6-car train. More and more cars are getting attached to this train as we go along. It is growing and growing, which is ever exciting. Oh,
we see
side by side.
Millsy going up the inside there into turn 1, now into turn 2, backing up, going up through, does Jackie. My boy, the honorary Pidgey racer, right colours, no team name attached to it, but what a man, sticks it to Francis Sam as he goes up the inside, takes that position through turn 1 into turn 2, now has his eyes firmly set back on Craig Gallagher. He's coming back for what he reckons is right here. I'm all on board the Millsy train tonight.
Yeah, I don't even know where Sam came from that one. Just the camera changed and suddenly there was the 2 McLarens side by side. There's another car in there as well. I think that's Mateen and Taufik there. Taufik wanting to have a look at this as well. The gap between the 2 McLarens just expanded a little bit. Yeah, that is Taufik right over the back of Sam. He is wanting every little bit of that, knowing very well that there are 2 cars not slow at all right behind him. So he's going to be wanting to make his way through this train the best that he can. He's definitely got the pace to hang it with the top boys, but yeah, just maybe didn't have the best qualifying. Going to be looking for a way through, but there is no way through there into the chicane. But yeah, we are sort of seeing the effects here of it being very, very difficult to pass. At the moment, and we might just see this one settle down a little bit. The cars are sort of starting to expand out a bit, so we'll see how that one goes. Just looking back at the front there, Squires, although he's got, I say that, getting a bad run and going very, very defensive. Taufik sticking it right behind the McLaren, but yeah, not going to find a way through there, and hopefully he can hold on track. Perkins still managed to hold off Taufik. Going defensive, Giacomin to the outside, runs very deep, not going to find a way past there. Around the outside. There's a long way to go. Yeah, very, very nice driving from Perkins.
Yeah, Perko's just held it up the inside there, stuck to the rubbered in, gripped up section. Done very well as we're watching on board with a 4-car train led by the Ferrari there of Mohin Taufik. Excellent driver in his own right and performing really, really well tonight. The Ferraris and the McLarens, definitely those mid-engine cars, performing quite nicely tonight, able to really handle particularly sectors 1 and 3 quite well. But we see here, so we're on board with Barker up the back of this little train, the train being Barker, Mateen, Sam and Taufik. 4 cars in unison, 2 by 2 almost they go as they look for any kind of movement around each other. I don't think we're going to see any reprieve here tonight, Hamo. I think that we're going to have battles to the end, mate. This is incredibly exciting mid-pack racing and what the Thursday night, late night split red is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as you're saying that, look who's joined the back of this train. It is none other than David Barker in the 13th Ferrari. So we have Ferrari, McLaren, Ferrari. 2 McLarens and a double-sided Ferrari sandwich, if you don't mind.
I think they call that a Big Mac, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. Very well done on that one. Yeah, David Barker, known for his slightly more aggressive driving style, will take absolutely any opportunity that you give him. So Mateen's got to be careful. He's going to be trying to attack the McLaren in front of him, but he's also going to make sure he doesn't make himself vulnerable to David Barker behind. It's a very, very tricky position to be in, and I do not envy either of them. Oh, Francis Sam, what? Ooh.
Well, that's not a good spot to stop, particularly with Giacomin coming through looking for a way around. Because I was watching in the background there, we did see Perkins managing to defend and hold off the Ferrari of Giacomin, but interesting to see what happened there. Again, we had a discussion a little bit earlier, didn't we, Emma, me accidentally bumping my pit limiter in LMU. It happens to the best of us being not me, but hopefully it happens to other people. But yeah, a bit of an interesting run there to the outside there that was Francis Sam and the jet black McLaren there. So we'll see what happened a little bit later if we can.
Yeah.
I believe he might have actually had a collision with a car, but we'll have to wait and see. But we're on board with Giacomin, has now shot up to 13th. We're going to watch this, and we see Giacomin, we've got Francis Sam late on the brakes, big punt, and that is a very smart and sportsman-like way to approach the rejoin there. Not the best spot on the track to stop, but I respect what he's doing, letting that rejoin occur to make sure that he's not gaining a position out of it.
Yeah, Giacomin looking towards the outside of Perkins. They're going to send it very, very deep into the chicane. That is too deep. He's going to run off the road, and that's going to invite Sam up behind him now. That gap is going to expand back out towards maybe a second. How many more? There is more cars in this train, I swear, every time the camera cuts back to them. This is absolutely incredible. We've now got Damiano Thurcolini and Turab Bank joining the train. All aboard the choo-choo train in this one for sure. But yeah, Francis Sam just, trying to do the sportsman thing, but unfortunately we don't really have any redress rule in OOR, so that one will still probably go to the stewards, and unfortunately I think there will be a bonk from the naughty stick coming his way. Not what we want to see, but yeah, certainly understand. Oh, he's out a bit wide again with a couple of Porsches there looking vulnerable. Damiano Thurcolini holding it towards the outside of the inside of turn 2 towards going to be the outside of turn 3, but does not get that one done, and that leaves Turab Bank there, not very far away, looking for a move as well. This train is kind of broken up, split in the middle. There is now kind of 4 cars and 3 cars, even 3 and 3 maybe, but I'm sure it will ebb and flow and they'll probably catch back up. Damiano got the pace all over the back of Sam there, maybe just a bit flustered from his mistake or possibly some damage. Giacomin, shout out to Perkins, to be honest, to be holding up Giacomin for this long. I feel like it's been the last 10 minutes or so. Like we said, not an easy track to pass, but Giacomin is not an easy driver to defend from, shall we say. Oh, that's going to be Taufik out a little bit wide as well. Holds that one still, and that's Siemem in front of Taufik. Different drivers getting involved, different spots, and we see Giacomin's already caught back up to the back of Perkins.
Look at this little train that we've got going, all led by CMM, the little red engine that could, if you're a fan of the old children's book. But yeah, he's sort of pulling everyone along at the moment, isn't he? So we see Giacomin again just looking aggressively for a way around Perkins, but Perko just managing to hold him off. Massive shout out to Lee Perkins tonight, driving like an absolute lion. Defending there, really, really, really well done. Under so much pressure is the silver driver. But, you know, look at this. Look at how far he's going to hold down the inside. He's saying, Giacomin, you are not getting around me on the inside. By all means, have a crack around the outside as Giacomin goes diving almost into the pit exit. Super deep on the brakes and wants to rejoin. No. Sam gets taken out on the inside there by a Giacomin Ferrari that turns across. That is going to be a very tricky one for the stewards to review. But what an insane line going into turn one. Dives into the pit exit to actually get around.
I wonder if that's considered off track. Like, I don't know. That dotted line is certainly interesting. It sort of runs along where the solid white line is. So definitely one for the stewards to investigate. It's getting a replay here. So towards the inside and just runs deep. And Francis Sam, very opportunistic there, trying to cut back along the inside. And Giacomin just kind of drives into him. Like, you've got to be... Oh, Sam goes for a spin. Lucky that not to get collected there. I think Giacomin up the inside of Perkins. This is more contact.
Oh, no,
Perkins goes off. Oh, Giacomin... Yeah.
That is such a shame for it to end that way. Perko has been driving so well for the first 28 minutes nearly of this race. Really, really, really well done to Perko there. We are going to get a replay of that up for you. As we see a bit of a battle here between Barker and Simon. Oh, sorry, no, Taufik and Simon. The Ferrari chain. We've got 4 Fezzes in a row. The greatest chain of Dyson vacuum cleaners you've ever seen in public. Look at this. It's a Guinness World Record for the biggest mass gathering of handheld vacuum cleaners there. We see Giacomin going up the... looking for a way around the outside, then the inside, and then just goes diving up. A little bit of overlap, but does force the car of Perkins, the Beamer there, off the track. Again, going to be a difficult one for the stewards to review. Tuffy.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of interesting moves from Giacomin there. Very, very aggressive and just, outbreaking himself, trying to get back towards the racing line. But suddenly there's another McLaren there making use of that space that he left vacant to him. So, probably not going to look at very fondly the stewards, and then, just not really enough room for him to send it down the inside of turn 9 there. So a couple of things for the stewards definitely would be looking at for sure. A couple of Ferraris at the front there, very close, Taufik and Siemem. Cutting further back to Scott Rochford there, Annie joining the back of this new train that is forming now with Chalmers, Perkins, and Rochford. Perkins. Oh, so you see Jocelyn in the Mustang there in the mirror getting very close. That's Perkins running wide.
Holy cow.
Chalmers.
You see Chalmers go off to the right there, almost losing the Porsche.
Actually, I think that's Rochford in the purple one there that went a bit wide there. These liveries very similar there, but with slightly different colours in that one. So it's Porsche, BMW, Porsche. Looks like Rochford has a bit more of a run from what Perkins has done there. Oh, as we see a very nice move there from just the inside of Carl Johnson there up into P19. Very nice move there, and we've now got another 6-car train with all sorts of different cars in them there. We've got a McLaren, a Porsche, a BMW, a Porsche, and there's a front-engine Mustang in the back of that as we cut back towards P10, P11. Seaman defending very hard there from Taufik, but just putting the car in the middle of the track perfect, exactly where it needs to be. Unfortunately for these two, all this defending is inviting, I was going to say just Giacomin, but there's 2 other Porsches behind them there as well into this train. Giacomin, now Taufik has got, Giacomin right up behind him there with a 5-second penalty at the moment, but I suspect we'll see more of that one. Unfortunately, the race bot, or race control bot, not working. We did see a test message go into that one, so it might be on the steward side there, unfortunately having some tech issues on that one, but we will try and keep you updated there as far as the penalties go. The stewards will probably let us know that one in the chat. We'll be able to keep you up to date on those. Moving back towards the front there, Taufik. Pete Chalmers, yeah, penalty bot, unfortunately. Race control working, so it's all good on our side. But yeah, we'll make sure we keep you updated on that one.
Yeah, very interesting battle packs forming here, and I do like the fact that no matter where we look, there's a bit of a train going as we see the battle again between three fezzes now of Barker, Samim, and Taufik. This is insane racing here as we've got these two side by side. Giacomin sneaking up the inside there. It looks just over and crossing through the fezzer again of Taufik. Taufik, very, very astute, very, very highly qualified sim racer in a fantastic looking Ferrari there as well, might I add. Incredible driver here as we see Fezzer, Porsche in this little train. But we've got those two Porsches in the back of Thurks and I think it was Chalmers? Where's that gone? No, Banks in the Porsche behind him, bringing up the rear of that train. And I love the fact that, Hamo, we're focusing so much at the moment on positions. Probably 10 through 19 is where we've been watching the most of this race. But so it's incredible battles here happening from some extremely experienced racers.
Yeah, absolutely mega racing as we see a move there towards the inside for turn one. Doesn't come off very well for Chalmers. He's actually going to get swallowed up by Perkins there, and the BMW holds it towards the inside for turn two. A little bit of a touch. It's going to escort Chalmers out wide. He's going to lose a whole stack of positions, putting him towards the
three posies.
Train. Yeah, that is very unfortunate there for him indeed. I think that was Rochford at the back as well. There
side by side, the Kovacs boys go. This is the third turn. They've gone side by side as they get a bit of a skedaddle there. But they managed to hold it together. Incredible stuff there from Chalmers and his mate Johnson, both Kovacs racing boys. Well done to them, and a stylish rejoin there too, might I add.
That's an absolutely huge moment in the Porsche there. Obviously the engine through over the back, so that's all the weight is just getting up on that curb, and that has had a big moment with big consequences, but thankfully able to save that one, not losing too much there as we cut back up. We cut back everywhere we're cutting as we see Giacomin side by side with CMM holding around the outside. Very nicely done there on that move there. That's going to invite Taufik towards the inside. CMM's going to lose a couple of spots there. He runs very, very wide there onto that exit curb. Car's going to sit on that one. He's going to bottom out 50-50 grind almost along that curb, but does manage to hold that position there between CMM and Taufik. Just pulled away from the couple of Porsches behind there, so very strong pace there between those two, and yeah, very nicely done from Giacomin there to get that move completed.
The whole 5-0-5-0 grind, Tony Hawk style, onto the curb. Fezzer and McLarens are known for it. As we watched a Fezzer, particularly there, I think it's Simon, just runs a little bit deep. Giacomin sailing off, but has a 10-second gap to the Ferrari of Barker now, courtesy of just all that battling that's been going on. But now the battle between CMM and Taufik kicks off with Thurks and Bank just behind him, looking for a bit of a schmozzle here as we come up through, where we've got 26 minutes left in this race. Currently no sign of rain for the next 30 minutes, so it looks like we will have a completely dry, in inverted commas, variable race as we are on board with Simon Car 323, the Fezzer Apex Racing. But we've got Taufik not letting him get away with it, looking for a way around, and we said it just a few times here just before, Hamo. You know, just because this track is really difficult to pass at doesn't mean you're not going to looking for all those opportunities here. So we see Taufik look for a way around Simu. These two cars relatively on pace with one another. I think at the moment it seems like Simon is better through sectors 1 and 3, as we see a little bit of ping issues there. Come back to us, please, car. But Taufik is really, really good there in sector 2. So catching up a lot of time just in that short little section of switchback turns.
Yeah, definitely. And just a lap ago, I was commenting on how far back the two Porsches were, but this train is kind of forward once again. Yeah, a little bit of ping issues between the two drivers. I believe both of these racing from the Asia area, so a little bit worse ping between the two of them. Just have to watch out for that one. Taufik shows the nose towards the inside, but isn't really going to be able to make any moves stick there. But yeah, Taufik is just kind of pointing the nose in, kind of making sure that CMM knows he is definitely still there, and he's not going to forget he's there in a hurry. Cutting back to the P6, P7 battle between all the trains, everything that's gone on. There's been a lot of moves that have been made. A few cars have got past, but Jack Miller and Craig Gallagher have still come back together once again there between P7 and P6 for that one. Looking back towards the front, oh, I did just have a look at that gap. It was actually 3.3 seconds. Actually come back out to 3.9 for nearly 4 seconds, which is what it was at before. I was going to comment and say that Squires has closed up on Breno, but I wonder if he might have just made a mistake there, run a bit wide, and he's cost himself best part of half a second there. Pretty easy to do, so bit of a shame for Squires there if that has been the case, but that gap was pretty consistent. Oh, how close can you get there, Jack? Just running a little bit deeper than he probably would have liked, being very close to the back of the Mustang. Yes, and now he's put himself vulnerable to the back of the team. These gaps ebbing and flowing, but yeah, we're really hard to predict actually what's going to happen between these two, and yeah, that's actually giving Gallagher a bit of free air.
Mate, it looks like, I'm going to guess here, I reckon Millsy hasn't had dinner tonight, and there's a big bone dangling off the back there of Gallagher's car, because these two have been going at it hammer and tong all night. And it seems like Millsy just won't want to leave it alone. He's looking for a way around this Mustang. Maybe he's sick of looking at the back of it, wants to see it from the front. That big old pink 84. I actually like that detail on that livery. Looking very, very nice here. We're going to see a bit of a replay. That is, we are on board with Taufig, looking for a way around the Ferrari. Oh, no, and Taufig goes a little bit wide there, just possibly late on the brakes and thinking that we are going to have a bit of an issue. But rejoins safely and is underway, and that was chasing down the Ferrari there, 323 of Simon. And a quick call out on positions. We've still got Ellis, Squires, and Cooley in the top three, albeit a fair bit of time between them. Then we've got a bit of, I think it's about a 10-second gap to first place in our silvers tonight of Jason Teo. But we've got Weatherburn, Gallagher, Millsy, Mateen, Barker, and Giacomin rounding out your top 10. Still an 8-second gap between Barker and Giacomin.
Yeah, something I want to touch on there. Speaking of the gap at the front, that's at 4.6 seconds there. I'm going to send Hignett on a bit of a charge here. He's not going to like me for it. Can you try and find us a replay? Something has happened to Squires. I think he's had a big moment somewhere. He's basically dropped. It's now 4.8. Whether his tyres have just gone off a cliff and something's happened, but he's dropped over a second, I think, there in the best part of maybe a lap. So something maybe not right in the camp Ford there at the front. So yeah, we'll see if we can find anything for that one there, or what may have also happened potentially is the fact that we have not had any rain here. The tyres on these cars, the front left and especially the rear left, the left side tyres do get very, very hot through these corners. A lot of high-speed left-hand corners where you are pushing and pushing. So whether his tyres have just overheated and they've kind of just dropped off, but yeah, 4.9. I don't know if he's made a mistake, or I feel like the car's just lost a lot of pace on him. So it'll be interesting to see if we can find anything in that one for you. It seems like we've come back negative in terms of replays. Yeah, so getting the confirmation there, the shake of the camera head. No replays there, so something's happened to Squires. I don't know what's happened. Yeah, he's just dropping back. Cooley 3.5 seconds behind. That gap is close. Yeah, 5 point. Yeah, something's wrong with that Mustang. He's just, I reckon he's cooked his tires. Unfortunately, probably getting too hot, pushing too hard, and we might see Cooley come back, and we'll see how that one goes. Speaking of Mustangs, we're here on board with Jacob Weatherburn there, catching the back of Teo. Shout out to Teo. We haven't seen much of him. He's been spinning clean air this whole race, up in P4 in silver class. There's the first kind of battle now he's going to have to defend from, as we do get a replay on board with an Aston Martin running maybe wide through turn 7. No, we'll see what happens here as we come through turn 8, clipping that inside curb, getting a bit of a slide. Big slide, big slide. Oh, he just runs wide. He's going to make the wall. Yep. I think that one, I think that might be, yeah, Braz Gosling in that one. Unfortunately, I've done, the yellow flag on the second last corner. We'll see who that was. I think that's 833. I'm not sure who that one is. We'll get a replay for that one in a moment for you for sure. But yeah, I've done that in practice a few times. Just touch the grass, and there is obviously no grip out there whatsoever, and you are just having a one-way express ticket to the barrier when you do that.
Correct, yeah. Once you get that skid going, you just lose all forward momentum and traction. And we are about to get a bit of a look as well at the Aston Martin of Brad Gosling, and it looks like you could fit a chicken or two under that bonnet as we see him pull into the pits on the bottom right corner of your screen. But we're back on board with Jakey Weatherburn. Is hot on the tail of Jace Teo. These two going at it, you know, battling for the lead of the, we'll call it the second train, as we see. Weatherburn just having a sniff there at the back of Jason Teo's Ferrari, looking for a bit of a, you know, if you can't go around him, can't go under him, must go through him.
That was a deep inhale. That wasn't a sniff, Matt.
That was a Really deep inhale if you can get that at home through your speakers. I hope it didn't blow anyone's speaker with their big inhale, but that's exactly what the Ford just did, searching for air and instead found Ferrari exhaust fumes. Very, very pointed effort from Weatherburn there, looking for a way around, but no dice so far.
Yeah, the 833 yellow flag that we saw before was just Brad Gosling trying to make his way back to the pit lane. I think that's Rob Underwood in the chat just letting us know of that one, and we did see the replay there on our other screen. Wow, this race has been carnage so far. It looks like I want to say these gaps here have sort of expanded a bit. Oh, Taufik going very, very deep, not running into the back of Turab Bank, thankfully managing to pull that one up just in time. The Ferrari there using its classic trick of sending the valves to the moon and downshifting as hard as you can to get the car to stop. Yeah, the gaps have, I mean, we've still got trains, but they're kind of spread out. This age-old gap here, another historic moment, I think, between Miller and Gallagher here, have not been separated. They have been less than a second this entire race, I think, in the same positions, no less, pretty much. So, yeah, P6, P7 for these couple. Not separated whatsoever.
Yeah, Millsy racing really well, and it's worth noting as well that Jack Miller's fallen back a fair few positions at various points during this race. At one point, I think he dropped back to 8th or 9th as well after making an earlier move or an attempted move on Gallagher, but has surged all the way back through the pack and is now sitting in firm 7th behind Gallagher there. We are on board with Chris Cooley, just hot lapping, just cruising in his little Aston. 277, making us all proud. Sitting in 3rd place, an unusual position to see Chris Cooley out there. Oh, no. Biggie Higgy, we leave for a second and something else happens. What is going on? Great catch, by the way. I can't believe you saw that while I was just talking smack about our man Chris Cooley up there in 3rd position, but we're going to have a look at that. I don't quite know who that was. I'm pretty sure it was Tio. I reckon Tio's been turned around in the Weatherburn battle here.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see a replay of this one here. It's Weatherburn right at the back. Does he go a little bit deep? He does.
There it is.
Tio.
There it is. It's that
around. Oh.
It's that deep inhale. That.
Oh. As Barker, they're cleaning him up there 4 seconds through the turn 9, turn 10 complex. Yeah, it looks like has Miller lost out in that one? I don't know if Miller's lost out or if he's gained anything. It looks like, if anything, Weatherburn certainly lost out with that one, unfortunately, just tapping the back there. Yeah, Tio's now dropped back to P9. That's a shame. He was doing very well there, up in P4, leading the silver class. So an unfortunate incident there for that one. What they've actually done, though, is put a car, just as I was saying, these two have not been separated, put a car between Gallagher and Miller and put a couple of cars behind him for him to worry about there as well. I think what Ben was trying to highlight before, and something that I did touch on there, is Squires and Cooley are probably... I reckon Cooley's going to catch Squires by the end of this race. That gap is coming down by maybe a 10th a lap or so, and Brenno's run away to 5.4 seconds towards the front. Now, that gap just growing ever longer as the race goes on. It'll be interesting to see what has happened to Squires. I suspect his tyres have just had enough. The Mustang not kind on his tyres in the best of times, especially on a track like Zandvoort where the tyre wear is so high. So we're getting another replay here on board with Craig Gallagher. There's going to be an incident on board with him to see what happens. So moves towards the inside and does. Very nice avoidance there from Gallagher. Good presence of mind there just to stick it towards the inside and avoid that one a little bit further back. We had some more contact, and it's just upset the apple cart a little bit, thrown in a couple of more positions randomly around in that one.
Yeah, Spidey sense was tingling there and really did a good job of getting around that. But some interesting other battles that have just been going on. They've sort of like spaced out a little bit just since you've been sort of chatting us through the action. But we've got Taufik and Bank really quite close together. Also on the back of Thurkalini there. Dirk's just giving us something to think about as he has to defend to those two. But Millsy now with a McLaren and a Ferrari on his tail. This is going to get a little bit interesting because all he's thinking about still, I almost guarantee you, is the rear end of Gallagher's Mustang. So he's going to catch up and overtake Weatherburn, who was giving JC a few grievances just before. As we go back down through, it'll be interesting to see whether there is a penalty that comes to Weatherburn for that little touch. We'll have to wait and see from the stewards. But a quick update on that. Gia Coleman with 30 seconds worth of penalties now. Lee Perkins with 5 seconds and Francis Sam with 15 there from the little sort of rear tap just a bit earlier. But we're on board with Mateen, car 310, the Macca jumping up to Taufik now on the back of Tura Bank. great looking Red Bull livery on that Porsche, is looking for just a couple of, he's sort of, 0.3 behind. All you need is a couple of good turns and one mistake out of bank to actually close that gap. And you've just seen how good the McLaren is under brakes into that turn. Not a sentence utter often about the McLaren, which is not known for its back. It's the Ford. It's the Ferrari.
I was
Never mind.
McLaren?
Ferrari has some great brakes. McLaren's terrible.
Yeah.
You can hear the surprise in my voice.
Absolutely. The McLaren is known for having wooden brakes. As we get towards this battle here, it's now Mustang v Mustang. Craig Gibbons. Jesus, I'm so sorry, everyone. I cannot speak for names. Craig Gallagher. There we go. I'll get there eventually. He's going to have a different challenge behind him. He's been used to looking at the McLaren. Both look like they might have run just a little bit deep into turn one. Different challenge behind him now with the Mustang. He's been watching Miller and seeing how Miller's driven this whole race and getting familiar with that one. Now he's going to have a different operator entirely, and Weatherburn, the two behind have obviously been no-slow operators, but Weatherburn's just with that pro badge just a little bit quicker, I think, so giving him more of something to think about in that rearview mirror, that the front of that wide throwback livery Mustang.
Yeah, for sure, and some great call-outs here from Rob Underwood in chat, saying Gallagher's having a cracking race, withstanding the pressure from Jack Millsy earlier. Got to be a contender for driver of the day. Could not agree more, Robbo. I reckon that is absolutely the right call. Some insane driving there, and so clean, so defensive, so precise. Has hardly put a foot wrong, especially with somehow Millsy putting a McLaren in all three mirrors at once, I reckon, at a couple of different stages. But up the front, we've still got Breno Ellis, 5.3 second gap now. Chris Cooley has caught up about a tenth or two onto the back of Squires, but doesn't look to be advancing too far or fast. Gallagher now a ways back, but sort of leading this second tier of the race tonight, where the trains begin. Weatherburn now picking up a 15-second penalty as well, which puts him well down the leaderboard and outside the top 10.
Yeah, we just saw Yoda there getting right up behind the other Mustang, trying to have a look towards turn one, but does not get that done. They're still stuck behind him. But yeah, there's going to be a different challenge for sure for the back of the two McLarens as well. So we've got Mustang v Mustang, McLaren v McLaren now. Gaps equalizing. Taufik's still right up behind Terra Bank. Taufik's going to try and look towards the outside of turn one, Tarzan corner. That one I do know and can pronounce, as we see him try and hold around the outside, but to no avail. The better drive of the Porsche versus the turbo lag of the Ferrari. We know which one's going to come out in front every time. Weatherburn not letting off from Gallagher whatsoever. But that penalty is going to cost him, and it's going to put Craig in a bit of an interesting spot there. Do you defend or do you let him go? He's going to have a hard time to try and outdrive a 15-second penalty. So he's better off almost not defending from him here and letting either, God forbid, having another incident or something worse happening. But yeah, you don't want to lose all that time with the other three cars really sitting right behind him there. You're better off, if Yoda does have a look, better off letting him go, and you're going to get him anyway back with the penalty.
Yeah, it's sort of the ebbs and flows of racing, right? As you see this little train begin to form again. We've got a solid 5 cars going back to back with each other, back to back, front to rear rather, as they sit in. But we're going back down the leaderboard. Dave Stevenson, not a man that I thought would be racing tonight. Wasn't so keen after an LMU race, but is here and is battling with an arch nemesis of his, Roy Ankin, and Scotty Rochford sitting behind them as well in that purple Porsche, the purple people eater, if you like, looking to take a bite out of the rear of David Stevenson Aston. But Dave Stevo managing to combat here a little bit, looking for a way around Ankin. Ankin, look at how close they are. This is the experience that you get from someone like Stevo. Races in real life, has a wealth of experience and has brought that over to the sim world. Now looking to get as close as possible. It's the tightness of that gap that you get between the really experienced drivers, both in sim and in real life, that I think really sets the incredible races above most of the rest of us generic folks and gamers like myself. But Dave Stevenson looking for a way around the inside here, sticking the nose in, manages to get the rubbered up section up the inside. We could be on for a thermal overtake of the week here, as we see Dave Stevenson losing out a little bit to the McLaren there of Roy Ankin, but pulls away takes it rank and nowhere to go. Dave Stevo sticking to the rubbered line. I'm so glad we've got that on Steam. Go Stevo, give it everything, brother.
Oh, I love hearing you get excited for that one. That was very good racing from the two of them there. Very nice job by Stevo to get that one done. And Ankin just running a bit wide through turn 2 and onto the grass, and probably it looks like I think he's lost a couple of spots from that one. Back towards the front there, Squires has closed that gap a little bit, but yeah, Brennowell is still well and truly out in front, 5 seconds there. The gap between Cooley and Squires, 2.7, not closing as much as I would expect from Cooley, not doing his usual tricks tonight, and that is Brennow's 3 seconds of fame there. I know how that feels. You run away at the front, you get no time on you, unfortunately, but yeah, very nice driving from him so far as we see this McLaren v McLaren, Mustang v Mustang battle, and there's a Ferrari trying to tack onto the back there. That is David Barker just sitting pretty behind those two, kind of waiting to pick up the pieces should anything happen. But what we're actually seeing now, and something else that was pointed out in chat by Underwood, just having weather burn between the Mustang and the McLaren there of Miller is kind of a bit of a buffer. It's another way of stopping Jack Miller from coming through, so maybe it might be smarter, even if he wants to just hang on to that position, just to stop literally a physical block from Jack getting through there. So maybe a little bit of a race strategy going on in his head as to how exactly he wants this one to play out. Just have to make sure that nothing crazy is going to happen, and we try and avoid some incidents.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Rob Underwood as well putting out the chat, an amazing race engineer, giving us a bit of an overview. Man on the ground, man trackside tonight, letting us know, yeah, Weatherburn is absolutely acting as a bit of a buffer from Jack, keeping him off the rear end of Gallagher. But we've seen that aggressive driving style of Millsy tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised, as is the same for Rob, if he looks to make some sort of fleeting, desperate move in these last few minutes of the race. We've got 8 minutes and 11 seconds left as we're counting down. Wouldn't be surprised to see Millsy try something to, get that position that he's been vying for this entire race so far.
Yeah, you do see that sometimes from some drivers just within the last probably 10 minutes of the race, a little bit of desperation. As we see, Miller's actually going defensive here towards Mateen. They're holding the inside line through Tarzan corner, not allowing him to have a look. Oh, that looked a bit weird. They're up on the curb there from McLaren, and Mateen will not enjoy that one at all. It's going to allow Barker, not really closing up, but he is still there, just kind of filling the mirrors. And you see there what that's done is just created not much of a gap, but a little bit of a gap there between Miller and Mateen, just to open that one up and give him a little bit more breathing room as he tries to have a look and see how on earth he's going to try and overtake the straight line monster of the Mustang in front of him.
Absolutely. As we see, check out, it's just as we're looking at this race go on, check out the detail that's sort of around us. It's so incredible, the amount of work that Kunos put into these. Saxon's been messaging me in the background, talking about how good these tracks are. But when you look around, the effort that goes into designing the maps, the Pirelli signs, the sponsors, the things in the background, there's even a lift kit, I think, a big sort of scissor lift that sits in the middle of this track. As we see the sand hills that give, the Zandvoort or ZANDVOORT its signature look. So, yeah, Saxon, absolutely agree with you, mate. The maps are sensational. And we're very glad that we get to race here tonight. But we are still on board with Barker now, stuck behind the McLaren of Mateen. Again, that usual Ferrari-McLaren battle where we've got the Ferrari better under brakes, but McLaren seems to just hunker down, tuck into those corners really nicely.
Yeah, speaking of detail, there's even a Top Gear banner on the fence out of the exit of turn 3. I don't know if anyone else has picked up on that one.
I have not.
Yeah, definitely a few sponsors
detail
along here, but yeah, lovely detail from the Kunos guys. Excited to see what they can do with some upcoming projects on Evo, like the open world stuff. Not so relevant for sim racing, but the Nürburgring Nordschleife and the open world is pretty incredible, and it'd be good to see how they go with that. This battle is definitely closing up, and look who's starting to join this one here. It's none other than Luca Giacomin, as we get a lovely shot of these cars. Amazing camera work of the Top Gear sponsorship there on the fence of turn 3. But look who's joining this one at the back of this train here. As this train is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars for you guys. It is none other than the bright red Ferrari of Luca Giacomin. In front of him, I think David Barker and Giacomin are friends as far as I can tell. So maybe there might be a bit of friendly showmanship between these two, and we'll see how that one goes. He might not let him pass, but he may not make him work too hard for it. Giacomin up into P9 after starting at the back of the field from a qualifying ban there. So still a little bit of fireworks that could potentially happen there as Barker does run wide, just letting Giacomin through there, as I thought it might have happened. Although he's going to give him the run there towards the final chicane. Giacomin on the inside, Barker on the outside, as Giacomin there gets the position. Barker looks like he managed to back out of that one and sort of let him have it there. So maybe still some fireworks out the ready to be lit at the end of this race.
Yeah, for sure, I reckon. So we've got a couple of people in chat just letting us know that this battle pack is going to pop off in the last 5 minutes. I couldn't agree more. We got 4 minutes and 50 seconds. So, as far as this goes, as we see an insanely cinematic approach here from Biggie Higgy. How good. There is no one better on the cameras. He has this game on lock. As we come down the main straight, we are on board with Jack Miller. Give us a bit of a look inside that cockpit if you can there, Biggie. Show us what it's like doing a lap of Zandvoort here as we're chasing down Weatherburn. Have a go at this, how fast and tight and twisty this track is, looking for the rubbered up, gripped in section, or rubbered in, gripped up section rather, as we see the two Mustangs battling it out in front of it. This tight little battle pack of three with Weatherburn with a 15-second penalty is out, but there's still a lot of racing to be had on the track ahead of us. We got Millsy here now, looking for a way around. Sector 2 is where this car is really going to shine. So much better than the two Ford Mustangs in front of it. Going to look to gain a little bit of time and space here, but these two Mustangs managing to keep it all the while battling, keep it well ahead, but we see Miller gather just a little bit of ground there, pushing up to the back of Weatherburn in that classic Ford Credit livery. How good does that look? Reminiscent of the old days, the supercars when I was growing up. But here we've got on board now these three cars continuing to battle it out, pulling a little bit of space to the battle pack just behind them as well. 1.3 seconds stands the gap to Giacomin now, with the 30-second penalty sitting in 7th.
Yeah, one of the things you'll notice about the circuit if you are on board is a lot of camber and bumps and undulation that you don't quite see from the replay cameras. So cars are constantly moving, and Miller is actually a lot closer to these two, getting a good run into the final corner.
Oh, this is gonna be
that's
good.
why is Gallagher side by side with Weatherburn. Gallagher towards the inside, Weatherburn with the overspeed, but he's still there. He's going to try and send it. He actually backs out of that one and lets him have the position. He's going to try and send the cut back. I think he's going to have to let that one go there. Miller almost looking towards the outside, and he is a very opportunistic move there. He's given the
There's no room for an overtake, but Miller forces the point.
Gallagher
tucks in.
Wide.
Oh, Gallagher, an absolute flawless race up until this point. I know it sounds like we're rooting for Miller, but Gallagher, incredible work, fending it off for that long. Super unlucky to get caught off the gripped in, rubbered in line, but managing to lose a position as well to Giacomin, falling back. Don't let that take away from the rest of your race. Insane and incredibly clean drive here from Gallagher. Something for all you kids at home to keep an eye on and possibly take some notes as we see him here now having to defend to the McLaren of Mateen. Barker just behind him as well, followed by Teo, Simon and Taufik. All of these cars coming in, the insane battle pack in the last 5 minutes. We're going to get a replay. Talk us through here, Hamo.
Yeah, we're just coming into turn 13, up on the inside curve. The car's going to want to slide if you're not careful out of there.
Oh.
Looks like Callum, jeez, I've done it again. Craig Gallagher, there we go, that's where I'm getting that from. Just getting him on the gravel, and the car wanted to slide through turn 14, and unfortunately he's just dropped his run, and he's not had any of that overspeed, and that has allowed Weatherburn to just sort of fire around the outside. And then, yeah, Jack Miller just looking for an opportunistic move, there was room left, there was a gap there, and he said, I will take that one, thank you very much. Very nice driving there from Gallagher to not squeeze him out wide like we've seen a few times. And unfortunately, once you're on the outside of turn 3, look at the amount of rubber that's there. There is no grip out there, and Giacomin gets that one as well, and Seaman is right on the back of the Mustang here, just a 10th behind him, and so is David Barker. Is not over yet as we come onto the final lap of the race. I think within the last minute or so. Yes, we'll have about, one more lap. I can see where the leader is coming into the third sector. Yeah, this gap ever so tight there between Miller and Gallagher. So Mateen and Gallagher. Sorry, wrong car. Again, there's so much going on this race. It is so hard to keep track of. Everything is changing. Couldn't see the color of the car when we were on board there, so that one is my mistake. I'll own that one. Yeah, as we see, just cutting the grass. Who cares about tire pressure loss? Never heard of her. As we're just taking all of the track, trying to maximize his speed as we come through turn 9. trying to use all of the track super close, maybe looking towards the send one towards the inside. He does show the nose, but can't really get anything done there. Does try to, so you see a little wobble from the Mustang. Does not have the, Mateen just doesn't have the overlap. He's actually dropped Barker a little bit there. Gallagher going a little bit defensive for that one there as the leaders on the final lap. That is a Lambo just getting out of the way. I think that is a blue flag car. Just
definitely.
Nope, none of that. Thank you very much. And just getting out of the way. Very nicely done by that Lamborghini back there. Mateen, God, he's using a lot of that inside curve. I did not like that one. And the car just wanted to slide because it's kind of cambered. It sort of cambers in and then flattens out and it just doesn't like it. So that McLaren doing very well to sit over those curbs. David Barker closing back in. But yeah, the McLaren not really getting the overspeed of the Mustang, even in the slipstream. But it's only a pretty short straight. Mateen there trying every move towards the outside, towards the inside, trying to get a cut back. All sorts of lines. It's not really going to happen for him there.
Absolutely, as we see the race timer hits 0-0. But we've got some insane racing to go. Just this little battle pack. These 4 cars here still looking for a way to jostle with each other. Gallagher looking to gain up that last little position on Giacomo will be a move to make, particularly through these last couple of turns. But some squirreling going on behind Gallagher there of Mateen's. Looking for any kind of move or way around possible, but both of them just tyres completely shot after 60 minutes of racing. You've got to remember as well, we were in a variable conditions race. No one was looking to spend 60 minutes on a set of tyres. But up the inside here, almost goes Barker. Barker looking for a way, nothing there on Mateen's McLaren. Mateen hugging the inside. Oh no, we've got a bit of a block here from Gallagher. Parks on the apex. But the 3 cars going wheel to wheel almost through these last couple of turns. Favourable position goes to Barker, who's going to have the inside too. One of these last little tidy-righty turns, and we've got a bit of a jostling there. Mateen looking, just can't find any room on the track at the moment. This poor Macca.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig there just parking the bus in the middle of the circuit. That's all you really need to do to defend here. Very nicely driven there from Craig Gallagher. There's kind of just hasn't really let Giacomo run away, so there's some strong pace from those guys as we come across the line. These guys are going to be very relieved that race is finished as we get a very tight finish there. Not even 0.2 of a second there between Barker and Mateen. As we get cut back to this other battle pack, there's a blue flag car up ahead. Ferrari. That is Tio Siamum and Taufik rounding out the back of your top 10, P9, P10, P11. Perkins P12. That is going to be a couple of your Porsche trio further back for that is 14th, 15th, and 16th there. Sarah Bank, Carl Johnson, Pete Chalmers. And we can take a breath now as the last couple of cars cross the line.
There's Steve-O there coming in 17th position, managing to make up a good few positions qualifying there. I think it was somewhere in the mid-20th position there. We have a look at the leaderboards in just a moment. And might I say, incredible camera work here tonight from Benny Hignett. As we see the rain come in. For those that were wondering where rain, there it is. It would have been the next race this evening. But let's have a look at the results of your Thursday late night ThermalTake Sprint Series. Massive shout out to ThermalTake for sponsoring OOR and supporting everything we do, reflecting just how incredibly in touch and how good they are as a brand, supporting real Aussie sim racing like we're seeing tonight. But we've got overall Breno Ellis, Aidan Squires, Chris Cooley coming in for your top 3, with Millsy and Gallagher rounding out your top 5. In the pros, that is the top 3, with 4th position being Barker there as well. Over in the silver category, we've got Millsy. Incredible drive from position 2. I cannot sing his praises enough. Craig Gallagher, amazing drive in the 84 Ford Mustang. And we've got Mateen in 3rd spot. In the Pro-Am category as well, we've got Simon, who was actually a long way up the grid. Incredible drive in the 323 Ferrari. Did a really good job, followed by Tira Bank in his Porsche, and Rob Buckerfield surging through the pack after that initial incident off the start, hitting the wall just after turn 1. Great racing all round. A fair few penalties handed out tonight, Hamo, but I reckon, just indicative of the harshness of that racing. As we see Jasmine here in the AM category as well. We've got Breno Ellis in your background, just showing us that sometimes it does rain in the Netherlands. Any final thoughts, Hamo?
I think it rains in the Netherlands quite a lot. It's a shame that the heavy rain, looking at the radar that we did have there, has come in the practice session after the race to finish that one off. But yeah, I think that was still a tough race for these guys. The tyre wear would have been absolutely astronomical. It was still pretty warm. It was 27 degrees track temperature in my practice. Unless you had the brake ducts right open, your tyres were getting basically to boiling point, over 100 degrees. So yeah, some very tight battle packs, some very good racing. I think driver of the day has to absolutely be Craig Gallagher on that one. Unfortunately, had a bit of a moment there and dropped a few positions, but he was holding it very, very strong and soaking up the pressure that he did have very, very well. So I think that one's going to where my driver of the day is going to go today for that one. Any special mentions for you there?
I mean, that overtake of Dave Stevo on Roy Ankin was something special to witness. Obviously, very biased here from the commentary box, but that's all part of it. You know, we come here with an agenda.
That's okay.
We'll watch our mates race. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that was a high point. But I think also I really, really enjoyed Jack Miller there, just with aggressive but clean racing. I think that we really encourage that style here at OOR where stand up for your position and your right to the racetrack, but also make sure that you're clean with those around you. Incredible stuff from him. And, it didn't always go his way. Not every move went to plan, but he really put it all out there on the track tonight and actually got the result to prove it.
Yeah, 100%. And also a strong drive from Perkins towards the start of the race there, soaking up a lot of pressure from some faster drivers behind him. So a lot of good drives tonight. Unfortunately, we couldn't keep track of all of them because there was so much going on. But yeah, that's the way we like it, and we love to see it here in OOR. Breno is absolutely a bit dizzy. Should we stop him doing some donuts and finish the stream? I think we shall. That is going to be it from us here tonight for your late night Thursday racing. Join us next week where we will definitely have some rain in the UK at Donington Park. What an amazing circuit. That is it from me. That is it from Matt. We'll see you guys next week.